gotta unmute. What's up, Ice Cubes? Hi, Ice Cubes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome into the stream today. How is everyone? Welcome in. Welcome in. Hope everyone here is having a good day. Hello, Mochi. Hi. Welcome into the stream chat. Welcome in. How are you guys? What is the chat? So, I just woke up. And I haven't finished eating breakfast yet, so I think we're gonna start stream today watching a little bit of Daily Dose of Internet before we deep dive into Warhammer. So yeah, we did. I'm still eating my breakfast, guys. Hi, Mochi. You don't fall off a cliff and crash out. Today's a pretty chill day today, chat. If you guys don't know, today I am thank you so much, Children, for the membership. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Here is a 2 for you. Thank you so much for the membership. Thank you. Hello, Brilliant. Welcome into this stream. Welcome in. 2 p.m. breakfast. You guys hate me, chat. Why? Every day I stream, you guys just bully me. You guys are horrible. You're horrible. I'm kidding. But, yeah, so I forgot what I was gonna say, chat. Wait, what was I saying? I fucking forgot. Happy Wednesday. Oh, I remember, chat. So today, we're just doing a YouTube only stream because normally when I do react stuff, it's just YouTube only. And then I'll be I won't be streaming tonight on Twitch because today we're gonna be celebrating Mamie's birthday with her around 6 p.m. PST. So I hope you guys will look forward to that. I'm really excited to hang out with Mamie and a few of the other girls, English stars. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. And yeah, that's pretty much it though, chat. How are you guys doing? How's your day, everyone? Wow, Mochi, exclusive paid content. You changed. What paid content? This is free. What do you mean? This is free. This is literally live. It's gonna be repo. No, I think we're doing like a tier list order with Mamie Senpai, so I'm excited for that. Alright, chat, let's start. As always, welcoming everyone. Welcome to the stream, Chosen. Welcome, Pandy. Welcome, the Crime. Welcome in MDK. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Prom. Welcome, Maul. Welcome, Basie. Welcome, Alu. Welcome, Armchair. Welcome, AJ. Welcome, MDK. Welcome, Cree. Welcome, Evie. Welcome in I think it's everyone here today. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Hi, Pink Nerdo. Fuck. No, you did not call me Pink Nerdo. Crime. What? Hey. I know a lot of people compare me to the god of rot, but I haven't been rotting that much. Kind of. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, you know. Trying to join the Slanesh clan. I'm kidding. No. Oh, wait, that's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's fake content. It's Thursday here in the Philippines. Good morning. Good morning, John. Coming to the stream. How are you doing today? Okay, and Queen, fuck you. Okay. Chat, today, we're gonna be watching a Warhammer timeline. However, chat, so I asked management, I was like, so what Warhammer timeline video is good? I was gonna watch the, I wanted to watch the Transcend the Infinite, I think that's the name. I wanted to watch their timeline because it looked really cool. But management suggests that I do watch that, but after, so management suggests I watch, wait, what is it? Let me fucking read. Okay, so the management suggests I react to the Bricky re-explain one because that's actually a timeline. So even though they're re-explaining the faction is basically a timeline is what they said. And then after that go into the other timeline that they made. And after that timeline then the Transcend the Infinite is good if I want the best understanding of the universe, so that way I won't get confused and stuff. So yeah. Of all the gods, so nice to be the last one I choose personally, but you too, Mochi. You are brave. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. No, I think I would choose the god of rot. I would. Let the rot fester. I do love festering my rot. Yeah. The channel one is so good, but probably good after Bricky. Good suggested management. Yeah, they wanted to suggest it for me to stand it the best, because Warhammer can be overwhelming a little bit sometimes, you know, there's a lot of information and stuff, so sounds like a nice idea. Yeah, we'll see how many videos we get through today. I think we probably might just watch one today because the faction re-explain one is like an hour already. But let me see, because I want to make sure I get like my lunch and stuff before the collab for Mamie's birthday. So we might watch one, or maybe we'll go for a second one too. Let me see, actually. I think we should be. I think we should be okay if we do. Let me see. Actually, maybe we do 2 today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, chat. We'll see. We're gonna wing it. We're gonna wing it. Hi, Mochi. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kazuko. Coming to the studio. Come in. God of piss. You guys hate me, chat. You guys hate me. But yeah, anyways, chat. So we go ahead and get started with Daily Dose of Internet. Let me go ahead and get my freaking Chrome out, actually. Alright, there you go. Dude, chat, looks like I'm gonna, what is it? I'm actually not sure. I think I need to pay for school in July, it seems like. I recently, I started registering for my classes, and it's like, oh, payment due by this date. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's pretty early. Who's gonna turn the schedules at 1 p.m. PST? You know what, Grim? How about you suck my balls? Professional pooper? Dude, chat, I got my fucking shark today. Today a shark bit my ass and now I'm bleeding and it hurts. So yeah, I'm a little bit tired today. How's the car, Mochi? Oh wait, McFlare, what the fuck? What car? What car? Yeah, it's kind of GG, but it's okay. My parents have insurance. Where the fuck is my Discord? You guys hear my Discord? Sorry, I'm dying. Glad to be finished. Dealing with classes sucks. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to finish. I heard from my sister that sometimes she still gets nightmares about being late to school, and she hasn't been in school for like a decade. So I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not like that, but we'll see. I mean, I guess like the school like haunt people, dude. It's scary. Did it bite off my whole cheek? No, just like half a cheek. Bit my uterus off, actually. Oh, it's absolutely a thing. Oh no. Oh no. Being a dropout is great. New car on throne when? No, chat, no, I'm gonna add a car on throne. Don't worry about it. It's my family matter, so you know, my family will take care of it, even though it sucks. But yeah, oh, speaking of throne, chat, so I didn't know, chat, so if you get like a digital good on throne, they don't let you, like, you don't get to have the digital good for a few days. I was like wondering, where's my Uber Eats card? I wanna make an account and stuff. But turns out they hold it for a few days to make sure you're not a scammer. So I was pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing, but yeah. Being dropout means less death. That's true. Hi, Mirai. Welcome into this video. Come in. How you doing today? Me too. You had a junior over for midterm a few months ago, and uni was like a decade ago as well. What the heck? I'm sorry, Vassie. I'm sorry school does that to you. Only go to college if you have money or gold that requires a degree. There are numerous good jobs you can get while going to debt. This is not a joke. This is a PSA. Thank you, chat. Thank you. I am going into dentistry, so I do too. It sucks. I sometimes like when I think about fail some of the most easy classes. That's so sad. It sends a code as well, so keep an eye on your email. I look at my emails every day, chat. It might surprise you guys, but yeah, I do check my email, so it's part of my brain rotting sessions. Like my nighttime routine is to rot on Instagram Reels for a bit, check on emails, rot more on Instagram Reels, and then fucking check emails and then go sleep. Check your email. I sent a bill. Bill for what? Mochi on our way become the Tooth Fairy. Oh, hell yeah. I like the way you think. What the hell, Pandy? That's crazy. Instagram real scary so badly. Why? They do? 3 years of subscribing. Hey. You did that on your free will. Alright, chat, let's go ahead and eat breakfast, and after that we can go ahead and watch Warhammer today. Where the hell is... Sorry. I forgot. I had an art project out that I was working on today. Let me make sure you guys can't see it. Okay, there you go. Don't worry. I'll hire you as my Uber driver. You really want me to drive you? You trust the sakes of your life? I don't know if you want me driving you guys, chat. I don't think that's the meta. For real, Mochi, the money Mochi stole from me could have went to my Honkai account. Please take care of your eyes, Mochi. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just like coming of age and staring at my phone in the dark. But yeah, I'm realizing my eyesight's getting worse. It's hard for me to read chat. My chat box is in dark mode, by the way, chat. I see my chat via OBS. So, yeah, it's been hard to read chat lately, like, especially with my new microphone. Cause, okay, chat, when I read chat, I put my face here, and it's hard for you guys to hear me with my mic settings, or I'm supposed to be like sucking my mic's cock off like every day of my life. So, have you had reading glasses? No, so I do have glasses, chat. I have glasses for driving and seeing afar. I can't see too far from me, so I do have glasses for that, but I don't normally need glasses when I'm like living my day-to-day, like, you know, like I can see like a good amount in front of me, but it's getting hard to read. But yeah, lucky Mike. No, I'm not sucking shit. But yeah, so that's a little bit lower on me. Going to debt for uni is such a foreign concept. My state is like less than... We're in a batch? That's crazy, dude. Yeah, I don't know. School's fucking expensive. It's like kind of criminal. Yeah. You got those bottle cap lenses? What's a bottle cap lens? I don't know what lens I have. I do be lucky. Yes, join the blind gang like me. Dude, chat, I used to have 20/20 vision. I remember I was like 20/20 up until I was like, what was it? Up until I was like 14, 15 was when I got my first pair of glasses. And ever since I got my first pair, it's just been like going like downhill every year. Every year my eyes drop in quality. It's kind of sad, actually. It's a little sad. But yeah. Okay, let me go ahead and see. I do be lucky. Stop! Ew! Oh my gosh! What the heck? Oh my gosh! That's crazy. You're crazy, McFlare. Okay. Alright, there you go. Alright, chat, let's get daily dose of internet so I can eat breakfast. And then after that, we're gonna watch Warhammer! I'm excited. My dad has a conspiracy theory that the more you wear glasses, the worse it makes your eyesight. I think that is actually a thing. Like, if you wear, like, for example, if you get reading glasses but you wear it all the time, I think your eyes become dependent on it or something like that. I think that is a thing, chat. I don't know, though. I gotta look into the science of it a bit more, but... yeah, that's a thing. The craziest car feature. Alright, let's go ahead and... Alright, let's watch some daily dose of internet chat while I eat breakfast, and after that we'll do Warhammer. I don't want to watch Warhammer while I'm eating breakfast, because I don't want to be like munching. You guys hear my yum 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 while doing that, so yeah. Dude, chat, I'm surprised I didn't lose my voice yesterday. I was screaming so much playing freaking Dark Souls, dude. I was actually, oh my god, I was tweaking out yesterday. You know, chat, this morning I actually went to watch the Don't Mind at Night parody I made. It was actually pretty fire. It was... I might be a lyrical genius, guys. I might be a lyrical genius. Alright, let's go to watch Daily Dose of Internet while I eat. Alright, let's go.
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. There's an electric car in China that is able to float like a boat to help anyone who might be stuck in a flood.
Oh, that's actually really good, isn't it? What the fuck? We have cars that boat, bro. Oh, that's crazy. I think that's actually really good, chat. Yeah! Dude, that guy's crazy, dude. That guy's
Her
crazy.
pet duck wasn't scared and loved being in a hailstorm.
This girl,
you're right, I think that's really cool.
Look at her. Oh my god.
Oh, the duck. Is that like a random duck?
Sammy don't take too kindly to you messing with his water. He's liable to buck you in there.
Ew. What the child doing? Me, bro. Dude, that's me.
They were trying to compare the camera zoom between an iPhone and a Samsung.
Look at this Android. Yeah, hold on, let me see. Holy sh**. Apple's better, bro. Look at
Apple's way crazy.
That's crazy. Is that Eraserhead, baby? Oh my god, a cat.
Fodder to move up, even if it's incrementally, even if you jump 10 spots in the third round.
What the fuck? Oh my gosh, where did it come from? How did this happen? What the heck?
To get a guy that is on your board as a value.
You'll never guess what's about to fall out of the sky.
GTA NPC. What the hell? What is? How did
I
that
can't tell if he
happen?
did this on purpose or not.
It's raining tires. That's brilliant.
She managed to get all these butterflies to follow her movements.
But that's so cool. What the heck? She's a fucking wizard, dude. Sorry, you've like the spare wheel. Yo, what's going on? Yo, what the?
He didn't want to sleep by himself anymore, so he dragged his bed to their bed.
That's so cute. Aww. That's so cute.
Luke got me the weighted blanket.
This is how moving companies operate in South Korea.
Damn, this is crazy. Wow. Holy shit, something about physics, dude. That's all I know. Why the cucumber doing that? How's the cucumber doing that?
This is what a Latvian passport looks like under ultraviolet light.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. Wait, what the hell? Wait, why don't we have a cool-ass passport like this? What the fuck? Wait, that's so cool! What?
They were driving through a tunnel when the fire control system randomly turned on.
Whoa, that's so fun! I didn't know tunnels have this. Me.
This cow managed to steal this motorcycle.
Let us know, let us know. Let us know. Wait, what? Did you just steal that? Yeah. Oh, wait, that's not... That's a... That's, that's an animal.
I had no idea that boneless ghosts existed.
Is it a fly?
I don't know. Whoa. What the heck? Wait, I need to practice doing that. I want to do that. That's
For some
cool.
reason, this dog has a really weird bark that makes it sound like a sea lion.
What the fuck? Is this what people feel like when they hear me laugh? Damn, bro. No!
Here's a cool video showing how whales trap fish by creating a wall of
Mochi
bubbles.
dog. What the fuck?
I knew that ants were strong, but this is kinda crazy.
Fuck ants! You don't understand how much I hate ants, chat. I hate nothing more than ants. Damn, what the fuck? Bro, was a seal in the movie.
So, why is this so satisfying to watch?
Yo, how are they doing it so perfectly? Holy shit, dude. This guy's a professional.
Sometimes in the winter, Lake Michigan can make these little balls of ice.
What the hell? Wait, why did the ice become ball shaped? What about falling?
This dog was seen pushing their owner across the street.
Maybe I used to be a seal that lived in a cliff. Aww.
This tortoise
they're
was
so
flipped
smart.
over and got stuck, but had a friend come by to help out.
No! Oh, wait, that's so sweet! That's so sweet! What? I mean, I would be concerned if anyone in chat had that many balls, you know?
This has to be one of the craziest shots ever.
Damn, golfing, dude.
A puddle of bees was spotted in New York City. He found a button on his cat that makes it start licking aggressively.
What the heck?
This giant roll cloud was spotted in Virginia.
Whoa, that's a big ass cloud. I used to love clouds, dude. I wrote a paper on clouds and how they're formed and the different type of clouds.
I got to show everyone the ridiculousness at the back door. I thought she wanted in, just like Chris did the other day. She's belly up to the bar for another drink.
She's so cute.
They were trying to skip the line to get up the mountain faster when
I
this
bet you got
happened.
down that paper. No, I didn't. Whoa, whoa, what the fuck? Yo, these guys are crazy, dude.
These fish were spotted crossing the road by traveling over land.
What the hell? What is this? What the fuck? What? Lungfish.
That is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Alright, cool. I finished breakfast, chat. We did
These
it.
are the
Nice.
craziest police encounters.
Alright. Oh, mud skippers. Oh, is that like a type of fish that walk on land? No, those are not lungish. Oh. Alright, chat. Thank you guys so much for watching a little bit of Daily Dose of Internet with me. Are you guys ready to head over to Warhammer now? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna be watching I think today we're gonna be watching Bricky's Factions Re-Explained Part 1. So yeah, we're gonna be watching that because I heard it's basically like a timeline, and then after that, maybe not today, but after that, the plan to watch next Warhammer is What is Warhammer 400k by Bricky, and after that, we're gonna watch the Warhammer timeline by Trazen as our third thing. And yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited. 400k. Wait, sorry. Did I say 400k? I said 40k, right? Did I say? You know what? I'm not good at reading numbers, chat. I think that's the thing I struggle with the most, reading numbers. It's hard, man. It's hard out there. Okay, let me go ahead and get the link here. And yeah, we're gonna do some audio checks, and then let me get a recording open so I could also give it to my editor so we can upload it to YouTube. You're not good at reading, period. You guys hate me, chat. No comment. Chat, I can read. I kind of can read. Okay, chat here. Can you guys let me know how do you guys how's the audio?
In the kind brightness of the far
Let me talking.
past,
Weehee.
there was
Wahoo.
no war.
Wow.
Our
What the heck?
galaxy
He wears
was, for a
glasses
long
now.
time,
Wait, does he wear glasses now? Oh my god, I haven't seen him with glasses before. How's the audio? I can't read, stop coping. It sounds good. Hi, Mochi. Hi, Kale. Coming to the show. Come in. How are you doing today? Today, we're going to be watching more Warhammer today. We're going to watch the Factions Re-Explained Part 1. Oh, it's 2 hours long. Okay, cool. I'm probably just going to be watching just this video today then. And then, wow, this is like, I think this is like, was this first video like an hour long? I think it's like about an hour longer. I'm excited to see. It seems like he's going to be explaining more information and a better deep dive into the universe. I went to Billy, but you won the tournament? Congrats on winning your tournament, KO. What the heck? Wait, that's so cool. He grew glasses? Holy crap. Whoa, the times changed, chat. Bricky has glasses? Hi, Shady. Welcome into the studio. Welcome in. Okay, so it's good that the audio sounds good. I guess let's go ahead and get this video started. I'm gonna go drink some water here. Should I pee first? Actually, I don't think I need to pee. I'm like cramping. Kobat Giant her win. One can say I gooned everyone else before Blade Blade. I don't know much about Blade Blade, but that's really cool. I know that they're like the top stat punch each other. Wearing glasses became the first step of becoming the Adeptus again. Breaking with glasses got me. Hey! No, human. No. Someone get the spray bottle. Get the spray bottle. The seagull sounds are back. We are so fucking back. The Cobalt Giant is actually Blade. Also, the only left key swim Blade now. Oh. Okay, wait, hold up, chat. Give me a second. Let me make sure notifications are off right now. So, chat, if you guys do not know, during my react streams, I try not to interrupt the video too much, so I don't talk to chat as often as I normally do during a normal stream. Like, I don't call you out by names. I'm not like, Kaon, suck my balls. Sorry, I don't know why I said that, but yeah, so if it seems like I'm not reading your messages, I probably am. It's just I don't want to interrupt the video too much. No, I did not hate you guys, no. I just have to let you guys know, because I do know my ice cubes are used to me, taking time to talk with everyone, so. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a little, what is it? Warning? Yeah, there you go. Okay, chat. Kaon unlucky. Yo! Okay, alright, chat. Let's go ahead and, yeah, let's get started with this video. Let me go ahead and start the recording. What's up? Welcome to another Warhammer reaction stream. Today we're gonna be actually watching the every single Warhammer 40k faction re-explained part 1. So we watched this very first part 1. I think he made a few years ago. Bricky has glasses now, so I'm like very shocked. Like, and all his videos I've watched so far, he doesn't have glasses, so I'm like, my world's crashing, chats. But yeah, I figured we watch this first because management suggests I watch this to get a better understanding of the universe before I watch some more timeline videos. So I think after this we're gonna deep dive into timelines. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and watch this first. And yeah, okay, chat. Let's go ahead and yeah, let's get started. It's not playing. Oh, okay. I didn't press play. Oops. Okay, we'll get started.
In the kind brightness of the far past, there was no war. Our galaxy was, for a long time, fairly empty and quiet. The first known species to appear during this time are known only as the Old Ones, cosmic entities that traveled across the galaxy with ease and seeded life through the stars. Shortly thereafter, a new species.
That's actually surprising, having like peaceful life in Warhammer. I guess that makes sense though.
Devastatingly powerful star, the short-lived and irradiated Necron tier try to find the secret to eternal life and to be freed from their terrible existence. As they expand through the stars, they find the Old Ones and they plead to them to share the secrets of the universe and grant them purchase from their short.
Oh wait, I remember the Old Ones. They were gatekeeping.
The Old Ones respond with a lol and a lamau, and with their immense power, they force them back to their homeworld. The Necron tier, filled with rage and hatred, make it their duty to get revenge on the Old Ones. A revenge that would come swiftly as a chance encounter with other gods gave them a solution. These other gods were known as the Catan, a race of highly powerful star-consuming entities. Do not fear, young mortals, for we, the Catan, will provide you with the immortality you seek. Come now, won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? Quoted from Mephetron, the Deceiver. The Necron tier accepted the Catan's offer of immortality, but believe it or not, this turned out to be a ruse. A trick. The Catan crafted gigantic furnaces and began the process of
I remember this.
The Necron tier willingly walked line by line into the furnace engines made by gods who devour stars and had their souls consumed instead. The short-lived,
they use them as batteries, right?
Cancer-inflicted race of the Necron tier ceased to be, and the immortal, soulless Necrons remained. Now backed by the immense power of the Catan, the Necrons rally against the Old Ones, and the bitter conflict in the stars at this time is known as the War in Heaven. Despite creating various races and entities to aid them in this battle,
that's such a cool name of a war, the War in Heaven.
Eradicated down to the last, due to the sheer power of the Catan fat off the souls of the Necron tier, and with an army of unthinkable robotic slaves at their behest. However, the Catan are greedy, spiteful gods. And when there was no foe worth killing, they turn on each other. The Necrons then
That's
put their
crazy.
sights towards the Catan and lay waste
they're so
to them,
blood-hungry.
securing their freedom. The once subservient Necrons now control their former masters. Worn out and weakened by these wars, the Necrons,
Oh, wait,
under
yeah, I
their
remember they
leader,
did like a
Zarek,
Uno
the
reverse on
Silent
them.
King, lie dormant with a plan to eventually wake and reclaim control over the galaxy. Over millions of years, empires rise and they fall. The species created by the Old Ones have footholds over the galaxy, but on a pale blue dot in the thick of all this conflict, humanity begins to evolve. And
Yeah,
for the most
humanity!
part, the basic path of humanity's evolution
I gotta root for my
remains the
people.
same as it is now for almost 15,000 years. Right now, in the 21st century, this is canon. You, right now, Twitch streamer reacting to this video, you existed at a point in the Warhammer universe. But with time, humanity's ambition and the power
They called
of
me
their
the pink
technology
nerdle.
becomes unmatched, and the golden age of expansion begins. Humanity starts to branch out through the stars with powerful tools.
I know he's
used
calling
for
me out, dude. I'm
agriculture,
freaked.
mining,
I'm
and
freaked.
expansion. Some branches of humanity would eventually settle far away from Earth itself. And around this time, the psychic ability of humans are greatly expanded, and what we begin to know as psychers appear. But despite all the progress, things would begin to collapse. The machines created to aid humanity would turn on them in M23, an event known as the Cybernetic Revolt, and trade would begin to collapse due to the immaterial warp, aka actual hell, beginning to cause ruptures in space and time. These warp storms would
Cleveland.
separate humanity, and this would be what is known as the Age of Strife. The warp, a sea of souls, storing all thought, emotion, and the souls of those who have passed on begin fluctuating into something terrible, as far on the horizon, something horrendous was brewing. You see, the warp isn't just a random assortment of chaotic energy. It is fairly well organized.
Me and my
thanks to those
homies
living
are scared of the
in
warp.
galaxy.
The warp
warp
scares me.
itself acts as an afterlife of sorts, and the actions of the innumerable amount of creatures who live in the galaxy have manifested a pantheon of organized entities known as the Forces of Chaos. At their helm are three major entities: Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch. However, a fourth one,
Nurgle, my
Slaanesh,
goat!
was about to be born. The ancient Eldar
Slaanesh.
were one of the first species created by the Old Ones, and due to their
I still want to
extreme
fix
and
her.
unbridled excess, the birthing of Slaanesh tore a hole in the galaxy and forever split the Eldar into those of the craft world, who sought to bring their species back together, and those of the Drukhari, who wished to continue what caused the birth of Slaanesh in the first place. The birthing of this fourth chaos god settled the warp storms of the Immaterium and ended the Age of Strife, but humanity was still fractured. So one man revealed himself and spearheaded an immense attempt to reunite all the fractured pieces of humanity. That man was the Emperor of Mankind. After reclaiming the nearly destroyed Earth, the Emperor embarked
That's a cool
on the
ass title.
unification wars to unite humanity under the banner of the Imperium of Man. However, due to the very long and devastating impact of the Age of Strife, humanity as we know it is not the same. To reconquer Earth, the Emperor would need more than mere men. Great beings, known as the Thunder Warriors, were recruited by the Emperor to reclaim the Earth with ease. But these warriors are a blunt tool and had, overstayed their welcome. He would need something better, and that solution would be known as the Space Marines. Superhuman soldiers that will have the skill
Space
and
Marines!
cunning exponentially greater than the mortal man. These new warriors would be commanded by an elite group of his very own sons known as
They're
the
aura
Primarchs.
farming.
Unfortunately, though, Daddy didn't charge the baby monitor, and his 18 sons would be stolen by the forces of chaos and scattered across the galaxy. This would begin the
Well, that's
Great
unfortunate.
Crusade, crusade, a monumental task to take back the stars in the name of humanity and reclaim the lost Primarch sons. However, he would need the fires of industry to make this happen. Looking to the distant cousins of Mars, the Emperor signed a treaty with the technologically irradiated hellscape of the Red Planet and allowed the cult of the machine god, the Mechanicum, to supply his crusade. While Space Marines were the tip of the spear, their numbers paled to the vast might of the Imperial Army and Navy. The Astra Militarum and their seemingly endless numbers make up the bulk of the fighting force for humanity.
Wait, his background's got so cool, dude.
Prowess of various agents of the Imperium, such as rogue traders and assassins. Due to the lack of connectivity between the worlds, what a society had become over
what I'm learning from this is to charge the baby monitor. It's very important.
Tools once used for harvesting and agriculture
The
now
mecha
are being
comes.
used as machines of war in the form of Imperial Knights. Some of these fractures of humanity would even be changed further and become unrecognizable to the average human, with differences in size, skin color, appendages, cat ears, sometimes. Some would go so far to become their own galactic societies,
Wait,
like the miners of the
cat
Galactic
girls
Core
can be
and their
real
immense supercomputers
in
forming
Warhammer.
the Leagues of Votan. After an incredible amount of effort and books, the lost sons of the Emperor would be reunited, and the Imperium of Man would be firmly established. This, however, would not last. Be it intentional or accidental, the Emperor would not reveal to his sons the true nature of the galaxy and the terrors of the warp. And this oversight would result in one of the most impactful wars in humanity's history.
Fodder of the year? Question mark?
The Emperor, Horus, would fall to the powers of chaos and turn on his father.
Fuck
this
Horus!
betrayal, this backstabbing, this heresy, this Horus heresy,
Me and my homies fucking hate
would
Horus.
result in a split in the Imperium with devastating consequences. Half of the Emperor's loyal sons would fall to chaos and become the Chaos Space Marines, along with the forces of the Dark Mechanicum and the Chaos Knights. The conflict would result in the absolute obliteration of Horus and the physical death of the Emperor himself. The near-dead body of the Emperor would be placed on the Golden Throne to serve as a beacon of humanity and allow for the continued ability to travel the stars, protected by his most loyal, the Adeptus Custodes. The Imperium would be vulnerable during this age of rebirth, and Terra would find itself under siege by one of the most formidable species in the galaxy, the Orcs. As time went on and memories of the Emperor's vision began to fade, the Emperor would become less of a head of state and more of a religious figure. And the Imperium would change to reflect this. The leadership on a planet would be at the behest of the High Lords of Terra.
Like, he used to be a normal guy, but now they treat him like a god.
Incomparable power and authority of the Inquisition. The zealots of the Imperium would intensify and create a brand new era known as the Age of Apostasy. And this ecclesiarchal command of the Imperium would end up with one of the strongest fighting forces of Terra, the Adepta Sororitas. Over time, this age would come to pass, and we would approach the 40th millennium of Warhammer 40,000.
Wait, 40,000?
Which,
not
you guessed
40K?
would come
Wait,
with
that's the
its
same
own
thing,
form of
right?
Problems. A primitive species once found during a recon mission would be able to evolve in relative secrecy for 6,000 years, becoming a highly advanced coalition of aliens known as the Tau Empire. And if the threats of the galaxy weren't bad enough, there are threats from outside the galaxy. As a monster has begun to wrap its tendrils around the Milky Way, the Tyranids, monsters that serve a psychic hive mind and present tactics previously unseen in the Milky Way. Be it a direct assault with their monstrous bug-like presence or through the more covert gene-stealer cults, the presence of yet another threat in the galaxy is proving to be overwhelming to the Imperium. In the 41st millennium, there is no peace among the stars. At any point, your life can and will be threatened by the Xenos races uncountable, or by the arch enemy of chaos within, or by the decroded terror that is the Imperium itself. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. Forget the power of technology and science, or the safety of promise and understanding. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Oh, this is just the opening. Oh shit. Oh, I didn't realize I was leading into that. Why? Who the fuck is screaming? What the f?
A fantastic job once again, Mr. Kurz, the Night Haunter himself. Oh, didn't you love that, my faithful audience? Once again, we have another criminal over the course of 6 hours break every single bone in his body. And with that, once again, our glorious leader has brought the crime rate to 0%.
Yay!
Always brought to you here on the Strawman News. I'm your host, Bricky. Thank you once again for joining us. Our top stories for tonight. The weather forecast appears to be rainy with extra dark, so make sure you pack those extra batteries for your lamp packs. And of course, let's not forget the fantastic gang violence problem we're currently having. Oh, I'm sorry, what's that? Oh right, it's gone.
Yay!
It's looking to be a chilly one tonight as well, so make sure your skin capes are nice and tight.
I don't own skin capes.
Wait, hold on, one moment.
Should I look to get one?
No. Adamantium reserves have tripled? Wait, I'm sorry. Self-harm rates have gone down to 0%.
Wait, what the heck?
The Night Haunter smiled? This, no.
Wait,
no.
Is Warhammer going into a arc
mean
of peace?
One thing. It is the Strawman News' great privilege to bring some color back in your life with the brand new three-part Gamer Supps drop exclusively on this here news network. That's
Gamer
right, your
Supps.
esteemed host Bricky myself is dropping a 3-part Gamer Supps release for pre-order available now and only for a couple of weeks. Not only does it include a completely brand new artwork reskin of
that's
the Sweet
beautiful.
Six-pack flavor, one of the highest selling
Damn,
flavors
the art's
in the
really
entirety
beautiful.
of Gamer Supps, but it also
It's
comes with
really
the
beautiful.
first
It's painted,
ever
dude.
all over print Gamer Supps 32-ounce jug. And if that isn't enough for you, if the phenomenal drink and drink holder is not enough for you, we have a desk mat to go along with it. That's
Wow,
right,
desk
the
mats.
Herculean look of the
Dude, I have
brand
so
new
many
Sweet
desk mats at home. I don't know what to do with them.
Six-pack style is here. We're
I use
still
them like
looking
glorified
at muscles
posters.
beyond belief, but this time we're talking taste, we're talking Atlas, we're talking smooth. And if that wasn't enough, I, your co-host specifically, should you pre-order all 3 of these items, will personally hand sign a note for you, thanking you for supporting this network. All of this you can receive for 10% off if you go down in the description of this video and click the link, or go to gamersupps.com/Bricky.
Is the deal already
and
over?
use code Bricky. Save 10%
Titty milk
off
is the
with
best
code Bricky.
flavor.
Bring some color back
Is
into
that
your
a
life
flavor in
and
Gamer
increase
Supps? Can
production
someone blink?
across the board
I'm just asking for a friend,
glorious
though.
Leader, the Night Hunter. Thank you, Gamer Supps, for sponsoring the Strawman News. And let us move on to our next scheduled program. 5 years ago, I made every Warhammer 40k faction explained.
Oh, it's
a
been
passion
5
project
years?
of mine for a universe that I enjoyed so much. Its main purpose was to be a drawbridge, the separation between the layman who had only ever seen the big armored blue man situated neatly next to a Wetzel's Pretzels, and then the hardcore Warhammer lore nerd. That was just too wide. And there was
Oh,
nothing
you know what,
bridging these
chat?
two together.
I've been
Since
noticing there's a lot of like
Warhammer has
Warhammer
exploded in
shops.
popularity
Like
thanks to
I'm starting to
COVID,
notice it when
quality
I'm out
game
and about.
updates,
I'm like,
and a
oh, I
few
know
excellent
this.
video games and a couple miniseries. The sheer volume of people who have told me they have purchased miniatures due to that video alone makes me feel as if Games Workshop owes me commission. However, that video is incomplete. I was not a casual fan, but I was also not a hardcore lore junkie. In the 5 years since that video's release, multiple channels have sprouted
He has
up, and
transformed. He has
the drawbridge
glasses
between
now.
casual to the obsessed has never been wider or easier to traverse. Even I, myself, have been a part of Adeptus Ridiculous, a podcast teaching lore in a much simpler and condensed form. Needless to say,
Wait, what is that? Where did that come from?
Warhammer
The
is
background.
so much more than just Spaceman Shoots Big Gun. It has also grown substantially from its origins, being a Warhammer Fantasy spin-off just in space. Now, it is a black library filled with immensely deep characters, difficult themes, and even some tear-jerking stories. It is a backdrop for 1,000,000 stories over 1,000,000 worlds, and I did not see its true depth in 2020. But now, I'd like to share what I've learned. We just had a brief summary of the world and each faction that takes place during it. And we did that because to truly understand each faction, we must understand what makes them the way they are. And to do so, we need to begin in chronological order, discussing
like
their origins, their culture,
I
their
like that he's
powers,
doing
and
it in
of
like a
course, what makes
timeline
them
like
oh
setting.
so grimdark. So let's begin with the group that started it all and sing praise to the infinite empire.
I can't read fonts. What does that say? Help,
As mentioned
chat.
before, the Necron tier were the original form of the Necrons, an alien
the
race far
Necrons.
away
There
from
you
us
go.
that lived short, painful lives due to the irradiation of their star. Normally, this would manifest as like a sort of cancer, a space cancer of sorts. The Necrons are very much inspired by the ancient Egyptian aesthetic, but unlike the windswept dunes
so
commonly
cool.
associated with it, the irradiated
Dude, I like that he has animations and stuff in his background, though. I think it's really, really cool.
This also translates into their hierarchy. They are a race of nobles and peasants. Most of the peasants would often live for their very short amount of time, only a couple of decades, while the nobles tended to have better care and would live a little bit longer, but still far less than the average lifespan of a
capitalism.
human, even today in the 21st
This is just like
century.
real life.
The leader of the Necrons was Zarek, the Silent King. He was the one who took the deal with the Catan and the Deceiver. Of course, he wasn't aware of the fact that they were known as the Deceiver at the time, but the whole species was blinded by hate after
I mean, I guess the Deceiver is good at their job. I mean,
to cure their illness. The sheer pain that underwent the Necron race can't be understated, as their fear was manic. The Catan are, of course, gods that eat stars, and when the leader of your species tells you to march into the gigantic green furnaces to ascend to immortality, you march. The scenes from these are long lines of both the peasantry and nobles clutching their loved ones in a frantic act to save their own lives. Many of them already inflicted in the late stages of this space cancer, some of them crawling into the biotransference furnaces, trying to outrace death itself without realizing death was the one who made these to begin with. What came out the other side was a soulless husk. And I say that literally. A soul is not an abstract concept like it is in our world, an immaterial version of oneself discussed and debated in religion and philosophy. No, in Warhammer, a soul is a real, tangible item of oneself. And the Catan basically were just like to every single person who went in their furnaces.
I was expecting Minecraft noises.
Peasant, you came out a Necron warrior, and you as an individual have ceased to be. You have no mind, you have no soul, and your body, as you know it, is made of an extremely advanced mass of re-knitting living metal known as necrodermis. You cannot
so
think
they're not
for
they're not
yourself,
alive
for you
anymore.
do
They're
not
just
have a brain to think with. All you do
they're just an
now
undead
is
army,
await
literally.
protocols from your overlords, which are the nobles who came out of the furnaces with their minds intact, not their souls.
That's so evil.
Because
like the Deceivers are evil.
Are very much intact. These nobles now have command protocols, and they are able to command all of their peasantry and do with them whatever they wish. Zarek, the Silent King, is the most advanced of all the Necrons, a perfect metallic version of himself with incredible power and intelligence. His strength allowed him to lead the undead and the unthinking armies of the Necrons to battle against the Catan when they were at their weakest due to their incessant infighting, and then win back their freedom. But gods cannot die. So in reality, what occurred is the Catan were shattered into thousands of pieces, and each shard of their god was trapped in a stasis vault and mind controlled to do the bidding of the Necrons they once enslaved.
Oh,
The biggest
yeah.
challenge they face now
Batteries,
are
right?
actually the upstarts of the galaxy. The Eldar and the Orcs were quite prominent, and as you can imagine, a galactic war really takes its toll on the joints, or I guess the servos. It was in their best interest to wait out the galactic rise of the other races and come back at a more opportune time. So they went into stasis via these massive tomb complexes hidden beneath various worlds, biding their time until it was once again their opportunity to rule the galaxy. Zarek, the Silent King, as penance for his failure to his people, exiled himself into the darkness between stars for the next 60 million years with his perfect memory, a constant reminder of the doom he inflicted upon his people. Flash forward to the modern day and the Necrons are reawakening, but it isn't working as well as it could be. Whether the tomb world is reawakened naturally or by some imperial moron stepping on a green glowing rock, the Necrons have come back to reclaim a galaxy they consider rightly theirs. But 60 million years of hypersleep have taken their toll. Many Necron dynasties awake with systems unrestored and huge swaths of their population's minds completely lost. Necron nobles wake with various mental faculties compromised, sometimes exhibiting traits similar to excessive paranoia, schizophrenia, or even dementia.
Well, that doesn't sound healthy.
Nemesor Zandrek believes that he is still back on his home planet fighting off separatists and interlopers. See, Oberyn, the separatists come, attempting to outflank me as they did at the 4th Battle of Vindach. How they calculate that daubing themselves green and roaring like savages will produce a different outcome, I cannot fathom. But it is of no account. Ready, my legions. Another glorious victory shall soon be ours. Other individuals, such as the esteemed Imhotep the Stormlord, seek to usurp the newly returned Silent King for rightful ruler over the Necron race, believing his time has come to an end, while scientists and archaeologists like Trazen the Infinite and Orikin the Diviner spend thousands of years bickering over artifacts and petty squabbles. Truly, the Necrons are a faction of unthinkable, unimaginable power, held back entirely by their own hubris and 60 million years of stasis. It is a species that does not know of time, only of the ravages brought by it. A pharaoh of a dynasty may just be as frightened to awake completely mad as they are to be assassinated while they sleep. Thousands of years pass in an instant. There is a play, like an opera play, a retelling of the war in heaven in the Necron culture that takes 40 years to witness, because why leave? You have no need to eat or vacate your bowels. You are immortal, but you are soulless. Despite the Necrons' incredible technology, their mastery over time, reality itself, despite all of this, they still are missing a soul. And therein lies the biggest struggle. Most Necrons look to conquest the galaxy, kill the interlopers like the humans, Eldar, and Orcs that scrape at a fraction of their power. But the end goal for many, including Zarek himself, is to return the souls to their bodies, to undo the horrible fate he cast upon them. This is not the interest of all. Many simply wish to rule their dynasty with an iron fist and kill all they consider unworthy. But to many others, it is to undo the decision that doomed them all. Before they can do that,
I see sad. They just want their, like, some people want their souls back.
That is the fundamental understanding of the Necrons. They are so
They didn't know their souls are gonna get yeeted.
Magic. They play with the fundamental aspects of reality and time. Their mastery of the physical galaxy is the strongest in the universe. Their weapons reduce people to the barest molecules, and they have devices capable of causing stars to supernova.
Damn,
they are
science, man.
unfathomably difficult to kill, as if you do fell one of their number, the living metal reknits itself, and the reanimation protocols allow it to come back alive once again. They're masters of teleportation, and often killing a Necron fully will just have its conscious consciousness translocated back to
Holy
their tomb world to
crap!
await
These guys are
reassembly.
strong!
Normally, they utilize large phalanxes of warriors and honorary combats.
Yeah, this is a really cool
but some
faction,
of
I
them
agree.
have fallen into various mind viruses. The destroyer cults are hell-bent on killing anything and everyone that lives with an overwhelming force. And then there's the flayed ones. Necrons
Be like that.
cursed with I have no mouth and I must scream, a panic attack virus, as the last laugh of Landogo, the Flayer Catan. Slowly losing their minds, they strip apart their foes and adorn their bodies with the skin of their enemies, trying to better return to their old feelings of flesh and blood. The Necrons are a degraded version of their mighty empire. And
that's pretty
still
metal,
one of the
dude.
biggest threats in the galaxy.
Wearing the
The
skin of
only
your
thing
enemies
keeping
to
them
feel
at bay
like
currently
how you used
is their
to, you know,
awakening
feel
sickness
when you were
and their
flesh and blood.
infighting with no care to the time.
Damn.
But they are coming. And slowly, they plan to rid this galaxy of the vermin that inhabit it. My people shackled the stars and broke mortality when the species you sprang from had barely left the slime pools it spawned in. Our wars burned reality, and the dominion of our kings is without limit. The ground you tread on is not yours. It is ours. The war in heaven was a catastrophic
Holy
time
shit,
for
that
the galaxy,
quote.
and as stated in the above quote, burned reality. Of course, souls exist in
That's
Warhammer,
pretty-
and in
that's
the
pretty
case
hard,
of the
dude.
Necron tier, they were consumed by the star gods. This begs the question, however, if you were to pass on, expire, as one might put it, where would your soul go? The answer to this is the warp. In
The
Warhammer,
warp!
a
Yes!
soul is real. And so is hell, the afterlife, the Empyrean, the Sea of Souls, the Immaterium. All of these names refer to the dimension parallel to our own, known as the warp. Now, the warp is not like our reality. It does not follow the classic normalcy of time and space. It is defined as the Sea of Souls, and it acts like this in a more literal way than you can realize. To imagine the warp is to imagine the sea itself. Hell is real, and you can surf on it. It has a current and can become more dangerous depending on where you go and how bad the weather is. As the Immaterium is a reflection of our reality and of our souls, all thoughts, all emotions, all feeling that goes with a soul is passed on into the warp. If an entire planet decides it's going to engage in a blood-fueled rampage of murder and gore, then the warp around that planet will be affected in a similar manner. It's not something that you can see. It is a parallel, not perpendicular dimension. But it is changing. To expose oneself to the warp for any period of time invites certain death outside of the most iron-willed of individuals, and to stare into it will drive one mad. Much like the open seas, things dwell in the warp. Whether these beings were always there and were just emboldened by the carnage of the galaxy, we can only speculate at. At a time, you could say it was more calm, but a certain faction's galactic war in heaven didn't do it any favors. Now the warp is turbulent, and its realms belong to a pantheon of gods.
Oh, that's
known
actually really
simply
interesting. I
as
didn't think the warp. I can't. The chaos.
The
I
forces
read
of
it.
chaos are beings that serve directly under their patron deity. There are 4 current gods of chaos at the moment: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. Each of them represent various facets of and emotions of sentient species and play a great game against one another for total control over their realms. Interestingly enough, while their disciples have physical
Chaos
forms,
gods,
we
they're
can
so cool.
understand
I
the
really
Chaos
enjoyed
gods
learning about
do
them.
not have a physical visual that you can perceive in reality. So while there are tons of fantastic fan art, we do not know what they truly look like, though they are conveniently color-coded. Khorne is the god of blood and
Well, they have
murder,
colors at
carnage,
least.
and slaughter. He is the one who is most powered by the wholesale killing of any living thing, for Khorne cares not from where the blood flows. With a sacred number of 8, he is the lord of all things involving killing and blood and gore. The champions are extremely strong as well, with monumental muscles and extremely large weapons. A true analog to
Damn,
Khorne would
Khorne's
be
pretty
his
cool.
greater demon, the Bloodthirster. an enormous muscle-bound flying devil with
Holy
an axe
shit.
so large it splits tanks in a single swing.
That's such
They
a cool
move
design.
into battle with armor of brass adorned by the skulls of their foes and pools of freshly spilt blood. This may appear to be quite frightening, of course, demonic, one might say. But in the world of chaos, all emotions feed one of these gods in one way or another. If you were to define Khorne with single words, you would use blood, carnage, murder, skulls. But you'd be missing out on important ones like strength, honor, prowess, courage, and skill. Khorne is not just about the wholesale slaughter of people. He is about the honor and power of martial combat. The true
That's really noble, I think.
is in besting someone in physical strength and skill. Of course, a murderer would be someone who would feed Khorne, but a soldier could feed Khorne. A martial artist or professional fighter could feed Khorne. A warrior, good or bad, feeds Khorne. A diplomat does not. A premier soldier does. A GoFundMe does not. This is what leads many mortals down the path of Khorne. For he will bless those that bring him enough skulls. And in a world this destructive, there are many ways to reap a high tally for him. Prepare the dread claws and unchain the mad ones. Glorious battle awaits us today, for the world below has refused to surrender. Let us descend upon them with fury and rage, giving no quarter and sparing only those warriors who fight well enough to earn a place amongst us. As to the rest, their lives and possessions are ours, but their skulls are for Khorne. Normally, if I ever want to explain
That's really
Khorne,
cool.
I just kind of show them this clip.
I'd never stab you in the back, Shepard. Warriors like you and me, straight to the face.
Moving on, Tzeentch is the second god, the god of trickery and mischief, the changer of ways, the great conspirator and the architect of fate. With a sacred number of 9, Tzeentch is truly the god of change in all of its forms, but there is an obvious undercurrent of mischief and cunning. Tzeentch is such a liar that his pants have gone thermonuclear.
Holy shit, live footage of
Tzeentch
Tzeentch.
asking questions that have no answers while simultaneously making up answers on
There's
the
a bit of
spot to a
tomfoolery.
question he didn't ask.
Have you ever had a dream that
Me.
you could you do you wi- you want you could do so you do you could you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
He is such a conniving little bastard that every emotion of lying, of scheming, of trickery
I
is
really
a direct
relate to
way
that.
to help
I
feed him.
strongly
An
relate.
unfaithful partner, a politician, a spy. All of these
Politician.
people feed Tzeentch in one way or another, and it doesn't matter if the intentions are good. Acceptance does not feed Tzeentch. Change does. Tzeentch doesn't care about your facts. He only wants opinions. Because he represents change, he also represents hope.
I like this guy.
Schemes are not always bad, and even the hope to make a better tomorrow is the change he seeks. Because he is the architect of fate and the mastery of sorcery, his presence is purely unknowable. Every depiction of a Tzeentchian demon contains more eyes than are necessary and more mouths than I know what to do with. It is a biblically accurate angel if the angel gaslit you into thinking birds are government drones. But are they? The creatures at his disposal adorn themselves with the knowledge of sorceries and the unknown, all to provide a mind-crushing experience. Fighting demons from outside of our reality is difficult enough, but fighting demons from unreality, purposely attempting to trick you, is a whole new thing entirely. And that is before we even get started on the gigantic bird of sorcery you're going to need to face. Do not ask which creature screams in the night. Do not question who waits for you in the shadow. It is my cry that wakes you in the night, and my body that crouches in the shadow. I am Tzeentch, and you are the puppet that dances to my tune. Third of the Chaos Gods
that's a really
is
cool
the one
quote
of
too.
acceptance of rot and pestilence, the grandfather himself, Papa Nurgle. Nurgle is the exact opposite of Tzeentch. Where Tzeentch believes in change and hope for a future, Nurgle believes in stagnation and the end of everything. At one point or another, we will all decay. We will all rot, and we will all end. And with a sacred number of 7, every single thing, pestilence, boil, and everything in between, comes under the great shadow and girth of Nurgle himself. For Nurgle, the plight of mortals is his fear and wine. And no matter how solid life might be, everything will decay in the end. In the creation of life, there must be an end to that life. And nobody has more creations to end lives than Grandfather Nurgle himself. Every boil, every
Holy
blemish,
shit.
every
Grandfather
pus-filled
Nurgle.
wound and disease, every rot and every plague is kept and concocted by Nurgle. This humorously
Holy
keeps
shit.
Nurgle as a jovial
Nurgle
god.
spawned the
He is
maggots
full
in my
of life
room.
And laughter.
What is this gift?
And by creating as many diseases as he possibly can, he shares that joy with mortals. I mean, his envoy is the great unclean one. And look at how happy he is. And there's a lot of him to love. A fear of death in general is feeding Nurgle. All disease makes him stronger, but to pray for salvation for a wounded loved one is to feed Nurgle. The timeless and inevitable fear that one day you will rot and decay is what gives him strengths. The Peloton won't feed Nurgle. Licking the doorknob on a public bathroom certainly does. However, should you embrace your grandfather's gifts, you may find an end to your pain. Maybe. All mortal followers of the Chaos Gods found themselves there in one way or another, either through the direct worship or the slow corrupting of their souls. But those that take Nurgle's gifts and embrace the decay of their bodies may end up being chosen among his
Pissing in a
few
pool
as a
feeds
faithful
Nurgle.
servant. In doing so,
I'll fit right
you will
in
be
here.
free of the pain caused by Nurgle's ailments, and you may even find yourself just as jovial and happy as he is. Maybe. His enemies shall wither and die. His allies shall wither and die. The universe and all within it shall wither and die. And when the great corruption has settled over the land and permeated the very foundations of reality itself, then shall the Lord of all rise from the rot and ruin, spread his arms wide to reclaim all of his dutiful children. Those were the 3 major Chaos Gods
what a guy.
for a very long time.
Pretty lit.
Emboldened by war and death on a galactic scale. Ever present, but now fact on the
You get
suffering
horrific
of a
miracles if
galaxy.
you pray to
One
Nurgle.
race, for a while, was able to elude the pull of chaos. An advanced race of psychically
Holy
attuned
shit.
aliens whose master over the physical world was so strong that chaos could not glean from them the morsels of power they once had. Or so they couldn't. Not for a long while. 60 million years ago, in an attempt to combat the Necrons and Catan, the old ones made a new species. One with innate power in the warp and the ability to harness it with a mastery that was unseen by so many others. A mastery so powerful, the Necrons retreated to sleep in order to wait it out. It was no longer a galaxy to be ruled by them, but instead begin the age of the
Clore.
The Eldar are a race of pointed
Did
ear
I read that
humanoids that
right?
are all psychically attuned to the warp. If we're being meta here, these are space elves, and these elves ruled the galaxy in the time the Necrons went to sleep and humanity began to rise. The Eldar's empire was galaxy-wide and lasted for longer than any other galactic power that we know of. Their understanding of all things was exceptional. With every single one of them being psychers, they had the ability to master the warp and use it to their advantage.
Oh yeah,
See,
they're
being
locked
a psycher
in.
is basically like being a wizard, or I guess in this case it's more of a sorcerer, since you are born with the gifts as opposed to learning them. In order to utilize your psychic abilities, however, you must then reach into the other dimension, into the warp, into hell for that power. So if you were to say, cast fireball, your mind would reach into the warp, gather the strength to rewrite reality, to then cast fireball. Now, you might think to yourself, doesn't that mean if you are opening up a power to the warp, you may create a lot of risk to yourself because of all the horrible things we just talked about in the warp? Yes. However, in Warhammer 40k, willpower is a real, tangible thing in the sense that in its own right, it can be weaponized. Being strong of will means being strong of soul. And being strong of soul means you can resist the pull of the warp that much more. A more inexperienced psyker opens up a hole into the warp that is large, and that hole widens to get more power, allowing evil things to get in. A powerful psyker is able to open a very small hole, but with immense force to get the same amount of power with less risk. The Eldar are master psychers. Every single one of them can call upon the warp.
Master the craft.
Of years, they have perfected it so much so that they can weave structures out of it. In some species in the galaxy, they utilize the warp itself for interstellar travel. The Eldar ain't having any of that noise. How about we utilize a fancy alternative mode of travel that is substantially safer than the old ones created, called the webway? What about dying? Miss me with that. We no longer age. And if we do, we can just be reborn like that. Food, water, materials, we make things out of distilled warp essence itself. We
Holy
sing
crap, they are farming the warp.
Cathedrals to dine in. What truly could the Eldari Empire possibly fear? The Eldari Empire's biggest fear was themselves, with a society so perfect they wanted for naught, and this led them down dark and dangerous paths. When the base functions of society are no longer a problem for you, you tend to experiment. Perhaps the medium rare steak on your plate would be better if it was elf meat. Hey, I'm not saying we should make cannibalism legal, but like, what's the issue with a little taste? Violent sports is one thing.
Off the perk.
How come we don't do sports to the death? I mean, I'm just saying, like, if both participants are willing and clear about it, like, what really is the problem there, you know? Art is in the eye of the viewer, and what is considered art is completely up to the concept of one's own interest. A canvas adorned with the blood of a man wronged is truly the visual poetry that our society needs. Hedonism. With a slow and consistent hedonism, the Eldar slid backwards into debauchery of the sort I cannot discuss on this YouTube video. Murder on stage, delicacies and drugs distilled from one another, the trade of slaves and concubines, and much worse. The Eldar physiology has their emotions heightened, and they can
kind of crashing out a little bit.
So while it can provide lows of pure despair, it can also provide greater highs than you have ever known. And swinging between the two of them was the Eldar game. The warp took notice of this heavily, and it began to react. On a galactic scale, the debauchery and the hedonism of the Eldar race caused levels of warp storm so pronounced and so volatile that it cut off interstellar travel for all those who used it. Communications between planets was removed, and a nightmarish era of old night
They took away the Wi-Fi!
This continued for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. The Eldar all but removed from the problems being caused as they entered heights of more and more ecstasy. They needed more and more and more. Nothing was ever
this is
enough.
fried.
More murder, more torture. It's art, it's delicacies.
They're so greedy.
Life. This silence offends Slanesh. Wait.
The utter chaos god.
Slanesh, the prince
The most
of
horrifying
pleasure,
one.
she who thirsts, the god of unspeakable excess, is our fourth chaos god, with the sacred number of 6 adorning their title. Slanesh is a bit of a tricky one, because with our other 3 chaos gods, there was a certain understanding of human emotions and desires, but for Slanesh, that desire is how they get their power. The words to be used would be decadence, pleasure, perfection, passion, excess, and many others. The pursuit of more. The want to do more, experience more, become more. That's what gives Slanesh their gifts. A lot of people believe that Slanesh is something that originates with sex. specifically, and it makes sense why they assumed that. The visuals of Slaanesh patrons are all very lithe and sexual, but they are also intentionally androgynous to appear attractive to a variety of intrigues. However, to think that Slaanesh specifically derives from sex would be mistaken. While it is true that a lot of humanity's actions can relate to getting laid, and Slaanesh is the dark prince of desire, it's more the lines of feeling in excess of an emotion. It is excessive touch and scent and desire, and a lot of that has to do with sex. That's why it looks like sex, but it's more than just that. A patron of the arts may feed Slaanesh.
Holy shit.
One that aspires to become the perfect chef or
Oh my
master
god,
of their
I
craft,
feed
and the sheer
Slaanesh.
pursuit of that alone will
There's
feed
so much I
Slaanesh.
desire.
Whiplash is Slaanesh's absolute favorite film. Videos where people beat Elden Ring on a dance pad feed Slaanesh.
Oh,
There are no
shit.
two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
You're like Slaanesh colored.
But is there a line? No, man, no.
This also moves into the concept of feeling. Sensation is a majorly Slaanesh-coded thing. It might start off feeling good, but then you get to play around a little bit, you know? You play with a little bit of pain. Light pain might not be enough, so
Holy
you might
shit.
want more. Or inflicting the pain could be your jam. Music can increase to volumes
Kinky,
that may
dude.
hurt your ears, and even then that might not be enough. More. You must have more.
Oh,
Many
damn.
of the disciples of Slaanesh carry a demonic form in their lithe grace. The keeper of secrets is his chosen envoy, and their movements are a blur of dance and pain with an aura all the more fatal. They dance and sing,
Yep.
but there's always a form of malice behind every action they take. An
More.
alluring gaze that will pull you in right before the demonic entity can crush you in that grip. Slaanesh's palace has 6 layers surrounding
Yeah,
it, and one of them
I really want
is
to
the
worship
excess of
Slaanesh,
gluttony,
but
where the
Slaanesh
participant finds
scares me a
themselves in
lot,
beautiful
so.
banquet full of the
I'll
most
stick with
delicious
Nergal.
foods imaginable, tables of delicacies and rivers of wine,
Yeah.
tempt the user to such a degree that they cannot stop stuffing their face, unaware that the things they are eating are very vaguely familiar meat. If one does not see themselves drowning in the river of wine, they may soon fill their bodies up so much
I
that
am
they cease
Slaanesh
to
colored.
function and fall over,
No,
becoming
no.
part of
I'm
the
pink
banquet
Nergal.
themselves. That is one of these 6 layers of Slaanesh's palace. This was the ecstasy that the
Damn.
Eldar civilization indulged in for millennia.
The models look
and
really
did so
fucking
at
cool,
a
though.
monumental scale that they create a god from it. Find pleasure in every moment. Indulge in every whim. Let lesser races feel the burden of their crude lives. We are beyond such concerns or worries. Every power is ours to use. Every sensation ours to experience. We are truly masters of the galaxy, and all others exist only to satisfy our curiosities. We have earned our position of power. Let us forever taste the fruits of such achievement. Time itself is ours to command. We are eternal.
Yeah, baby! The gang goons on a cum Satan. Who's the gang?
With the birth of Slaanesh, the Eldari Empire ceased to be. A catastrophic event so horrible that the warp ripped a hole permanently in our reality. A
Holy
fissure
shit.
forever known as the Eye of Terror. With the sudden inhalation of this god's largest breath, the Eldari souls are a currency to be now collected by she who thirsts. Trillions of Eldar died in an instant. Slaanesh
Yep.
gorging on their souls to satisfy
just
his
yoink 'em.
palate. 99.9% of their entire species died, and the rest are doomed to a fate worse than death. For Slaanesh now stakes a
goons so
claim
hard,
on
they
each
gave birth
and
to a
every
god.
Eldar soul. From the moment they pass on, an eternity of torment awaits them. The remaining Eldar devote their entire lives to stopping this eventuality. Their dying race so devoted to saving themselves from the Dark Prince, and in doing so, have found very creative ways.
The Craft
modern
World
of Warhammer,
Eldar.
the Craft World Eldar are the main force of Eldar in the galaxy and represent
yeah.
the elf style that many think of when you think elves in space. Fantasy elves in space, not those elves. We'll get to them. A craft world is a monumentally large starship, the size of a continent, that acts as a form of flotilla. During the highest reaches of hedonism, many Eldar saw the demonic writing on the wall and began to try and seek asylum from their own debauchery. Those Eldar left on monumental craft worlds into the
They got the fuck out before the crazy happened
and saved themselves from Slaaneish's awakening. The main thing the craft world Eldar seek is to temper their minds and bodies in a way that will never allow them to slide back into their old ways. The representation they carry is that of a more feudal Japanese motif. Eldar follow paths as they age, the path of the warrior, the seer, the poet, the diplomat, the bone singer, and so on. These paths are a strict code of conduct to hone the heightened Eldar psychology down a school of thought and action. And if it sounds a hell of a lot like Bushido, well, you're damn right. Here's a medal and a soul stone. Don't lose it or an eternity of torment awaits you. Going through these paths will allow you to take up not just a role in Eldar society, but keep your mind clear from the past worries that plagued them. Every Eldar is said to be a psyker, however, very few
they found a solution.
Their psychic powers for fear of tempting she who thirsts. A large amount of emphasis is also put on ancestors of the Eldar and learning from them the farther you go down a path. This can sometimes be seen by the large variety of jewels adoring the armor of Eldar. Those are called soul stones, the biggest middle finger to Slaanesh they can think of. See, when an Eldar dies, these stones act as a backup, and instead of their souls going to Slaanesh, they are then trapped and stored in this little stone. So when the Eldar say they commune with their ancestors, they mean so very literally.
Holy
as
shit.
The spirit and soul of generations before them are stored
Wait, they
here.
made like
Often
science rocks or something. That's pretty cool.
They contain vast amounts of soul stones, such as the Infinity Circuit in the craft world itself, allowing the souls of the dead to help power their enormous starship. The young do not desire the discipline of the path, but rather their curiosity drives them to try every fruit from the tree. Thus, it is that so many take the path of wandering or the path of damnation in their first years of adulthood. And so, the great tragedy of our kind is played out again and again as the number of our people shrink from generation to generation. These paths, when completed, allow an Eldar to move to the next one, then the next one. However, since this is the grim darkness of the world, many of these paths rely on combat. The Eldar actually had gods at one point. Cain, Vol, Isha, Azaryan, and so on. These gods are aspects
I think it's cool they can use those gens to power their ships.
Killed in Slaanesh's creation, their teachings live on. For some, the strongest devotion to the Eldar gods is to join the Aspect Warriors and embody the wrath of Cain, their god of war. While guardians of the Eldar craft worlds are more akin to a trained militia, the Aspect Warriors embody a particular variant of the path. Each are led by a Phoenix Lord, a name passed down from generations and embodying the souls of prior Phoenix Lords with each new one. The Howling Banshees, led by Jane Zar, Fugin and his Fire Dragons, Baharoth and his Swooping Hawks, or Malgan Ra and his Dark Reapers. Each Aspect Shrine carries with it the Eldar way of war. Fast, hard-hitting, and incredibly tricksy, for they do not have the numbers to fight in any other way. The craft world Eldar show how mangled an empire can be by their own actions. They once ruled the galaxy in an honest, non-hyperbolic way, but in the end, they were bested by themselves, and their most prominent remnants are forced to drift aimlessly through the galaxy, trying to save their species from extinction and resist the temptations of she who thirsts. But for some, the party, it's just beginning.
Party time!
Deep within the webway is the city of Kamara. This dark city once existed as a port in the webway that allowed for ease of transport for the Eldar between its various domains. The significance of this city meant that it needed to be a bit more of a neutral territory outside of the jurisdiction of general Eldar law, and therefore it was allowed to self-govern. This did not go well. The Dark City became the hideaway for all manner of sin. The Eldar race slipped into debauchery on a galactic scale that it birthed a god, and this was the city you went to when that wasn't enough for you. The convenience of being so deep within the webway was that it exists as a blind spot to the horrors of the warp. So while the rest of the Eldar fled the downfall of their species, Kamara kept partying. When Slaanesh was birthed, they were saved the worst of it, thanks to them being nice and neatly tucked away inside the webway. But only somewhat. The Dark Prince did not have a grip around their soul, but the tiniest pinky finger, and they were still pulling. But due to their excess hedonism, they found a solution to this problem. If they tormented others, they could temporarily rejuvenate their souls and continue to cheat their
I think this faction scares me the most.
the Prince of Pleasure. And if
They're
they kept
evil.
this
Like I
up
feel
on
like
the
they're
regular, they
they're
could
like really
effectively
up there on the
become
most evil.
immortal. Thus, the Drukhari were born. Unlike the more stoic elves you see in works of fiction, the Drukhari themselves exist as a sort of analog of the more grim and fiendish elves you find in Norse and European mythology. The Drukhari are soul vampires, but the more basic means to feed are hardly enough
they're
to
like
keep them
the
going.
most
This
evil, I
desire to feed
swear.
is known as the thirst. And to quench it effectively, they have mastered the art of biotechnology and dark sciences to really juice themselves up on the crispy soul sprite from the vending machine called the Galaxy. The majority of Drukhari act as pirates and raiders and slavers. They go into our physical reality and drag people back to Kamara to commit atrocities that go beyond any imaginative torture a human can think of. The Drukhari are organized in various groups throughout
These
the
guys
Dark
are
City
straight
to
up
accomplish this
crazy.
in a more organized and extremely brutal way. The Cabals act as the main warriors of the city, led by their archons. Witches and succubi act as entertainment for Kamara in gladiatorial arenas, and the flesh-crafting homunculus keep the Drukhari alive and discover ever increasingly more painful ways to torment their ever increasingly large supply of slaves they are brought. The Dark Eldar see the other inhabitants of the galaxy as little more than cattle, livestock that can be brought to bay or slaughtered at any time. Their fodder, however, is not meat and muscle, but the anguish and despair of the weak. The Dark Eldar do indeed drink blood, but also tears, and most sustaining of all, the raw essence of pain
Holy
they
shit.
wring out of their captives. The truth of the matter is
That
that
quote
Drukhari sustain
perfectly
themselves
describes
on
them.
the suffering
Fucking
of others,
evil.
not just morally but physically. Kamara is a city rife with backstabbing schemes and murder. It is the worst back alleys of the worst ghettos at the best of times. Nothing is more horrifying to a Drukhari than death, for death will see them in the talons of Slaanesh for an eternity of torment. So they do everything they can to stop this. The homunculi covens
it'd be like
regrow
that.
dead members from pieces of flesh as bargaining chips. The succubi create grisly gladiatorial spectacles that literally rejuvenate the audience members as captives are murdered for sport. To be captured by the Drukhari is one of, if not the worst fate imaginable in the world of Warhammer 40k. In a universe built on war crimes, they are the most debased war crimers of all time. To be tortured and sacrificed in the gladiatorial arenas is a blessing, for you have escaped the fate of being in the flesh smith's control group, or being turned into a living and breathing piece of furniture for an Archon's quarters. In a cruel twist of fate, a newly born Drukhari does not arrive into this world loving torture. It is something they must grow to love. Grow to appreciate the suffering of other beings in order to survive in the world they have been brought into. If they succeed, they become some of the worst monsters in the known galaxy, a dark reflection to the craft worlders and a taste of what Eldar society was like before the fall. If they do not succeed, they must find purchase elsewhere. Often those will join smaller parts of Eldar society like the Exodites or the Harlequins. Exodites believe in a pre-industrial variant of their society, often retreating to more lush worlds to ride dinosaurs and live off the land. Prehistoric style that I would normally laugh at if they weren't riding dinosaurs like ballers. The Harlequin dancing troupe are a subsect of Eldar that are more than just a little strange. A carnival of dancing jesters that serve the Eldar laughing god of Kegarok. They arrive never when expected and leave just as quickly. Blurs of light carry their footsteps as they dance their foes into a grave. Combat is just as much of a joke as it is a play on bloody murder. They travel and aid many other Eldar and sometimes even humanity for reasons we can never understand. Perhaps one day we would have, were they not stripped of their army book and folded into the Eldari Codex. So I suppose it'll have to stay a mystery, or maybe it was one of Kegarok's master plans to get back at she who thirsts and save their species. Who could know? Perhaps it was all a sick and practical joke to Kegarok, and he would just find it very funny to watch me fumble the discussion of one human on a tiny blue planet across the galaxy. Oh, speaking of.
The Empire of Men!
Earth, or Terra, as it's called, was in ruin. One man who looks to put the pieces back together. Where did he come from? We don't know. Some say he was the result
this guy
of early shamans.
always seems so lit whenever he's talked about.
Old one who escaped
he's like,
their
hey, I have so much
species
aura,
genocide.
chat.
And those that are smartest know the answer is it doesn't matter. He revealed himself as the Emperor of Mankind, and he was tasked with the most monumental upheaval of humanity possible. The Eldari's warp fluctuations had turned the golden age of humanity into old night. Interstellar travel cut off? Check. An AI
he looks
uprising?
righteous, he does.
Check. Brand new psychers popping up and not knowing how to handle their powers? Oh, check. Demonic incursions? Check. Thousands of years this occurred, and now the Emperor of Mankind showed himself to put the pieces back together. Unifying Terra under his rule, the Emperor founded the Imperium of Man and ruled it with an iron fist. He was the supreme leader and nothing could stand against him. He wished to remove mankind from the yoke of its former failures, and he knew he would be the best leader they could have.
Damn, what a guy, bro.
He was right. AI banned. Religion banned. You did as the Emperor told you, or his Thunder Warriors would put you in your place. That place
that's pretty
often
cool,
being a grave.
dude.
Now, Terra was thriving, but humanity needed to reclaim its long-lost brethren scattered across the stars. But to do so, he needed those that could build him a fleet truly meant for the reconquering of the galaxy. And so he turned his attention to the red planet of Mars.
Yeah, these guys, they pray to the machines, right?
Were close allies long before the Unification Wars. Mars was the first world terraformed by humanity and became what would ultimately be the first hive world, an epicenter for industry and technology. The Age of Strife did not treat the red planet kindly, however. Mars was cut off from Terra during this time, and the warp storms that ravaged the planet turned it into an absolute nuclear hellscape. Those who were on the surface were turned into your run-of-the-mill mutant if they even survived the bombings they inflicted on themselves, but others were lucky enough to escape beneath the red sands in powerful fallout shelters. These became their generational habitats, but this resulted in extreme reliance on technology and those who could use it. They began to view the technology keeping them alive less as a technological advancement and more of a divine intervention, with those skilled in it as priests.
These guys can make iPhones.
Began to worship the power of the machine, and this resulted in the formation of the Cult Mechanicus, the belief in a holy trinity known as the Three-in-One. The machine god, serving as the spirit who gave rise to all technologies known, the motive force, the deity that gives all life its ability to live, and the Omnissiah, a physical manifestation of the machine god itself. This belief began to manifest in them physically as well. What were once humans began to really mess around with the character creator options, and this tech obsession made them view instances of flesh to be weak and spend their lives removing what
I think
makes
this is
them
really cool,
human
dude.
and replacing it with mechanical augments. Robotic limbs, glowing eyes, mechadendrite arms. What was once
Holy
a
shit.
mass of
They're
flesh
freaking
now
playing
looks like the back
Cyberpunk,
of a
dude.
router, and the oldest members of the Mechanicus no longer even look slightly human. In addition to this, cloaked over all of their mechanical appendages are robes that reflect the color of their homeworld, the red robes of the Mechanicus. The Cult Mechanicum, now the Adeptus Mechanicus,
So
create
cool,
a
dude. So
fascinating
cool.
combination of cultures all birthed into one. Basically, techno-zealot monks. Organic life is the machine god's greatest accomplishment within the scope of the great work. All praise he who is three in one. By giving us life within an organic shell, he presents us with the means and opportunity to improve upon physicality, as is his divine plan. He creates us complex weakness so we might learn metallic strength and ascend to his level of machinic perfection. The Emperor's arrival to Mars was very much a walking in with the pizzas while the room is on fire moment, but to the Mechanicum, they saw his arrival as confirmation of their belief. They took one look at the glowing golden entity that showed up on their doorstep and were like, that's him. That's the guy right there. And they immediately accepted him as the Omnissiah. Obviously, showing up and being called Machine Jesus shortly after wiping out all instances of non-Machine Jesus a little bit beforehand is an instance of capital H heresy. But the Emperor saw the bigger picture. Were they strange with how they rubbed unguents on themselves, burned incense, and prayed to machines for them to work? Sure, but that's a lot of production right there. So the Emperor
they're
devised
locked
the Treaty
in.
of Olympus Mons, a unifying agreement between Terra and Mars. And this union
Machine
will be
Jesus.
permanently etched into the Aquila of the Imperium as the two-headed eagle. One head for Terra, the other for Mars. The forces of the Emperor will be supplied with all the technology and weapons they needed to reunite the scattered remnants of humanity under one banner. And the Mechanicum of Mars will be able to keep doing what they were doing religiously and scientifically so long as they kept up their tithes. This tithe meant total quality control over all technology in the Imperium. Is it a big spaceship? AdMech take care of that. Tanks? AdMech take care of that.
hell
The
yeah.
literal bullets in a gun? You guessed it. But unlike the factories of today, the forge worlds of Mars and the creations of the Mechanicum are a bit of a different experience altogether. Instead of a factory on a random given world, the entirety of the planet's surface is dedicated to manufacturing. But that's a little tricky, isn't it? Considering that the usage of silica animus, or AI, is a big no-no, and basically the largest affront to their divine machine god possible. Fortunately, there's a really neat alternative.
The
that they've
video,
come up
dude.
with, and that's called a servitor. Incredible devices that can do anything from manufacturing, maintenance, basic door operation,
Holy
even
shit.
just float around like a helpful little drone. It's an extremely easy process too. All you need to
Dude,
do
these
is take
guys
a
are the
human who
inventors.
is dying,
The
or
F students.
preferably an enemy of the state, most likely that one, and lobotomize them. And then
Oh.
reprogram their brains to do exactly what they tell you. They even got little baby versions of them. Yay!
Yo!
So now you can
Whoa!
rest easy knowing that the entirety of the Imperium, because they outlaw AI and learning new tech is heresy, is run on lobotomized slaves. Whether they deserve it or not is unimportant, and whether they can still keep their
Oh.
consciousness trapped in their own
Well.
minds is another thing entirely.
Well, that got quite grim.
An excerpt from the Servitor Creation Factories. Naked human beings were standing in a switch-packed line between high fences. The Manufactorum produced servitors, but it was more akin to an abattoir than a workshop. Every surface was easily cleanable. Servitors with spray units surgically attached to their backs prowled about, hosing filth from slit drains set into the perfectly smooth, slanted floors. As the line slowly advanced, the people were passed through various scanning devices, most of them mounted in ugly, functional arches that let out a constant series of acceptance chimes. Occasionally, one would let out an angry blare, and the indicator lumens would flash red. The rejected person was then swallowed up by a trapdoor opening beneath their feet. From these pits wafted a hideous stench and the grinding sounds of industrial mincers. One rejected man grabbed onto the lip and hung there, arms and
Holy
hands
crap,
bloody,
this shit got
shouting
brutal.
a stream of defiant profanities. Guards lined the grating either side of him and shocked him until he fell. The adepts wouldn't even waste bullets on these people. The trapdoor
What a
flipped
lovely
up, and the next terrified
world.
person was ushered forward. Violent metal arms snatched them up and spread-eagled them in the air, and a servitor shearer shaved them all over. At another, they were subjected to a high-pressure counter-septic wash whose chemical stink made me choke from 100 feet away. More scanners, more rejects winnowed out.
chat?
Machines forcibly dressed them in a heavy rubberized garment common to all monotask servitors. These were saggy on them, all one size, until another process force-shrank them to fit their bodies where metal cuffs, sockets, and collars bit into vulnerable flesh. The last few prayers gave way to screams at that point, and even the most stoic shouted in pain. They were ushered over a floor, buzzing with power that made them shriek with every footstep. "What's that for?" I asked. "Follicular inhibitor. To stop their hair from
Holy
growing,"
crap.
he said. Freaking sweet, Lois! As for their scientific pursuits, the
Holy
Mechanicum believe
shit.
in the preservation of knowledge above all and the quest to expand it. However, as opposed to just
These guys might
innovating
be
and inventing
a
on their
little
own with their
bit
vast
crazy.
technological know-how, they believe that it is a form of tech heresy. You see, because of their religious viewpoints on technology itself, they believe that the instruction booklet itself is just as holy as the Lego set it builds, and to innovate on that without the proper written knowledge is to go against the divine word of the machine god itself. All knowledge is already in the universe. You simply need to rediscovering it and attempting to invent something to improve upon divinity is very heretical. Prior to the Age of Strife, humanity was able
Invention's
to
a
populate
crime.
the stars with devices known as Standard Template Constructs, or STCs. These devices were, as far as we know, supercomputers with the ability to pull up and detail how to create literally anything a startup colony would need. Essentially, they were devices with the entirety of human technological know-how so that you could make a home away from home. The Mechanicum will not make anything without an STC. Quite literally nothing, because this is the knowledge they seek, and that knowledge is divine. One time, scouts of the Imperial Guard found a functioning STC that provided the schematics on a knife that happened to be a bit lighter and a bit sharper than most other knives. These knives were adopted by 30 Space Marine chapters and were one of the most advanced discoveries of the century. This discovery
Holy
was so
shit.
significant that they were each awarded a planet for finding this. A planet for a machine
Holy
that taught them
crap.
how to make knives. Due to their religious organization, you can probably
Fuck
guess
the Nobel
Mechanicum
Prize.
also
I want a
organized
planet.
feudal structure with the highest individuals in power being a part of the priesthood. Cream of the crop being
Nice
the
knife, here's a
fabricator general of
planet.
Mars itself, who serves as a High Lord of Terra, but
Crazy
also
trade
oversees
offer,
the
dude.
entirety of the Mechanicum below. Below them are tech priests that oversee the cult for the quest of knowledge and other more straightforward theocracy. Forge worlds tend to operate slightly more independently, what can cause some power struggles within the Mechanicum, because, you know, despite them all being weird robots, they love being given praise. And despite being the manufacturing end of the Imperium, they do actually have their own military forces. They have the Skitarii Private Army and all their various 1920s Martian-style mechanisms like Doom Crawlers, Castellan robots, and of course, the Titan Legions, because nothing is cooler than a robot that towers over buildings. Ultimately, their very dogmatic view on technology as a whole has resulted in any innovation becoming absent, thus causing the Imperium to stagnate as a whole. The lack of ambition to create anything new and the wholesale murder of anyone who even tries leads to things becoming derelict. I grow weary of this flesh I was born into, strangely disgusted by its nature. I crave only the cold, clean certainty of steel and silicon, that I might become one with the blessed machine. I do not expect you to understand, you who cling to your flesh as if it were immortal, seeking only to preserve it, to protect it. One day you will see the folly of your ways, and then no doubt you will come begging to my order to preserve you. After the groundwork had been set unification-wise, it was time to start getting things together for the Emperor's great crusade across the stars to bring humanity under one banner. The Thunder Warriors were a perfect fighting force for unifying Terra and Luna, but the galaxy was a whole different thing. You see, these warriors weren't soldiers in the
VTuber
eyes
skins.
of the Emperor. They were tools, extremely blunt tools used for the fast conquest of Terra. As the Emperor was concerned, the tools you use at home aren't the same ones you take on a road trip. So the Emperor rid himself of his tools in the exact manner you think he did, and he went forward to crafting a brand new tool. One more mobile, more efficient, and ready for his next era of conquest. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay, I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor shall I clad them, and with the mightiest guns will they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines so that no foe can best them in battle. They will be my bulwark against the terror. They are the defenders of humanity. They are my soul.
Yeah, Space Marines!
And they shall know no fear. The vastness of the Milky Way galaxy meant that
Such
the
a
Emperor
cool
needed
quote,
assistance bringing everyone back to the fold. And who better to do this than himself? But since the technology to be in many places at once does not exist anymore, the Emperor decided that it was time to become a dad, the same way Geppetto did, and with far less care. It is not my son, Arkin. None of them are. They are warlords, generals, tools bred to serve a purpose, just as legions were
Dad of the
bred
year,
to serve a
guys.
purpose.
Dad of the
What a
year.
dad. The Primarch Project was started to create charismatic and unique leaders in the Imperial military. The diversity of these eventual leaders meant that each one could be specialized for certain circumstances across the galaxy. Depending on the type of conflict, one leader might be better than the other. So instead of forcing one leader to acclimate to the situation directly, it would be better to send a specialized leader and force to handle it. In order to do this, the Emperor used his genetic know-how and maybe a little bit of that forbidden stuff to create these genetically perfect gene fathers that had the ability to serve as his analog directly, and also serve as the leaders of the respective Space Marine legions. All 18, that's right, all 19 of his sons were meant to be directly molded by the Emperor himself, despite their genetic differences. And they go as follows in order: Lionel Johnson, Fulgrim, Percherabo, Jagatai Khan, Lehman Russ, Dorn, Conrad Kurz, Sanguinius, Ferris Manus, Angron, Robute Gilliman, Mortarion, Magnus the Red, Horus Lupercal, Lorgar Aurelian, Vulcan, Corvus Corax, and Alfarius and Omegon. His sons, finalized and crafted
19
to
kind
be
of
the warriors
Alfarius
he needed them to be, were complete. But he may have decided to do a bit of dabbling with things he shouldn't have, and paid a price. Before the Primarchs were ready to go, an intervention by the gods of chaos prevented his plan from being completed as intended. Though the sources vary, the ultimate result of the Chaos God intervention was that all of the Emperor's tools were scattered throughout the galaxy at unknown places and times. Each one of his sons ended up in a completely different world, and instead of being able to directly influence their upbringing, these children were instead forced to experience the unique nature of their respective homeworlds. Some had a great time and lived in general luxury. Others, not so much. Despite his closest advisor, Malkador the Sigillite, saying, "All right, Chief, let's try this one again," the Emperor sensed each of his sons were still very much alive, and one of the primary objectives of the Great Crusade shifted to reclaiming each of his sons so they could take command of their specific Space Marine legions and carry out his will. These original Space Marine legions that were created alongside their Primarchs go, in order, the Dark Angels, Emperor's Children, Iron Warriors, White
We just
Scars,
learned about
Space
these guys.
Wolves, Imperial Fists, Night Lords, Blood Angels, Iron Hands, World Eaters, Ultramarines, Death Guard, whoosh, Thousand Sons, Lunar Wolves, eventually Sons of Horus, the Word Bearers, Salamanders, Raven Guard, and the
Salamanders!
Space Marines, unlike their gene fathers, the Primarchs are not made in a vat. There is a process to recruit more members from humanity itself, which seems a bit strange considering how massive a Space Marine is compared to a normal man, but don't forget, the Emperor is really good with genetics. Less good with anesthetic, however. These prospects are recruited across humanity from various reasons and methods, and are generally killed during that process. But sometimes they aren't, and they are able to go through more and more of the actual training to assess certain traits that are important and relevant to being a Space Marine. Most of the time, the common factor is a pure, unrelenting willingness to kill the enemies of the Imperium. After going through psychological screening, the prospect, now called a neophyte, goes under the knife to become a Space Marine. And here is a quick list of all the cool new stuff they get genuinely shoved into their bodies. A secondary heart, an organ that makes your bones grow, an organ that makes your muscles big, an implant that makes your blood stronger, a little organ that turns your white blood cells into super white blood cells, a brain implant that allows you to sleep while being awake, a pre-stomach that allows you to digest literally anything, a spinal implant that allows you to absorb the genetic memories of what you eat, bigger and better lungs that can let you breathe underwater, an implant that gives you stronger eyes, new ears that keep you from being dizzy, a brain implant that lets you go into suspended animation if you're in a bad shape, skin that acts like transition glasses, I almost got it in one take,
shit.
a brand new kidney, the ability to taste the
surgery
air
goes
and
crazy.
find enemies like a bloodhound, a special coating on your skin that allows you to be protected in space, the ability to spit acid, a gland that allows you to absorb the unique genetic makeup from the gene seed in the first place, and a straight up carapace that allows the Space Marine to interface with their power armor directly. Quite often, these are put inside of you at dubious levels of mental alertness and dubious levels of anesthetic. After a more generalized indoctrination into the faith of the Imperium and a bit more training and other important manners, they can finally be welcomed as a fully fledged Space Marine. A Space Marine is quite literally a walking tank that is armed to the teeth. Two of the more iconic weapons held by a Space Marine are their bolt gun, which fires explosive shells the size of soda cans, and a chain sword, which is the Space Marine is clad in a colorful carapace known as power armor, crafted from extremely heavy and durable ceramite. The power armor of a Space Marine protects him from any terrors he may face.
Are these videos Ricky's using? Are they from cinematics? I haven't seen any, but I'd love to see them.
Combined almost biologically with an already massive physique makes the Space Marine an almost unstoppable fighting force. And hell, if the armor doesn't protect them enough, they can always become a walking coffin like the dreadnoughts of the
I'm gonna have to check those out.
What truly adds to it all, however, is the sheer difference in some of them. While a Space Marine in its own right is an indoctrinated freight train on legs, how they act can be quite different from chapter to chapter. The gene seed of a Primarch is not just helping them become big and strong, but allows them to gain certain traits from their forefathers. Everything from how they think to even slightly adjusting their physical appearance once it's been implanted, the gene seed can be the personality of an entire Space Marine. Take the Salamanders, for example. Salamanders have a predisposition to fire as a whole, and tend to be extremely large due to the size of their Primarch, Vulcan, and his enormous stature. Whereas someone like Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels, share more vampiric features and more angel-like qualities. A gene seed is not just aspects of the Primarchs, but they are also flaws too. Magnus the Red and his 1,000 Sons underwent something known as the flesh change, a horrifying
that guy got busy.
that, while it made them strong psychers, would affect their bodies so terribly that they would would mutate away from humanity. Where other factions have inspiration for their culture from our real world, like the feudal Japanese of the Eldar or Egyptian style the Necrons, each Space Marine chapter themselves carry an inspiration. The White Scars are motorcycle riding Mongolian fighters. The Space Wolves are Norse Vikings. The Dark Angels are Knights of the Round Table, and so on. This moves into their fighting style, and truthfully, there is no end to the characters and options when it comes to the Space Marines. Space Marines are the main symbol you see, and while many of them can be simply indoctrinated warriors who only care about conflict and can be quite boring, then you meet Dante, or Bjorn, or Argel Tal, or Karn, or Lucius, or Erebus. And then you discover the wealth of these characters and tools of war you can have. For 1100 years, I have fought and I have seen the darkness in our galaxy. I have seen the vileness of the alien and the heresy of the mutant. I have witnessed the sin of possession, and I have seen all the evil that the galaxy harbors, and I have slain all whose presence defiles the Emperor. I have seen what you will see. I have fought what you must fight, and I have slain what you must slay. So fear not and be proud, for we are the sons of Sanguinius, the protectors of mankind. We are indeed the angels of death. Despite being the poster children for Warhammer 40K as a whole, the presence of a Space Marine is a rare sight for the countless trillions of humans across the galaxy.
Oh, really? Well, I didn't know that.
Monstrosities is like seeing something akin to an angel sent by the Emperor himself. These
That's so fucking
angels
cool.
of death are the essential fighting force to bring humanity back under the unified banner of the Imperium. Yet ultimately, the Space Marines are individuals torn from their families and conscripted to genetic modification and lifelong service for the dying Imperium. And though they are held in an almost holy light, most believe they are above and beyond the people they are designed to serve. Once designed as the protectors of humanity, they seldom view humanity as something worth saving. To the extent that it is a tiny, minute rarity, though not unheard of, for a Space Marine to put a normal citizen above them in any way. For most Space Marines and even their Primarchs, they are only here to do a job. They are there to kill the enemies of humanity, and I would be remiss if I didn't add at least one more of my favorite quotes to the tail end of this section. "The time for speeches is done," said Rogel Dorn. "The first great test is here. My order to you all is simple, yet heed it well, and exert yourselves to see it done. They are coming. Kill them all." While the Space Marines are the spearhead of the Imperium's Great Crusade and also a major player in its
Simple but
warfare,
clear
there is a
message.
significant amount of importance that must be taken on their transport. What sci-fi universe would be complete without its navy? When you think of the navy or ships on the open sea, you think of something that is sleek, something mobile, and something pretty big. For perspective, the longest self-propelled ship in history was the TTC Wise Giant, an oil tanker that was about 458 meters long or over about 1,500 feet. This right here is child's play in the world of 40K ships. A ship that is considered to be an escort vessel in the Imperium is about 3 times the size of a Sea-Wise Giant, and the size of the ships only go up from there. Your most common ships are the cruisers. The light cruiser tends to average at about 2 kilometers long, or just over a mile in length, where the Dictator class cruisers can be over 3 kilometers or 2 miles in length. The largest ships are your battleships, and they are tremendous. We're talking 5-mile long, half a mile high monstrosities that look like gigantic Gothic cathedrals and filled to the brim with weaponry. And not only are they filled with weapons, but they are also jam-packed with crewmen. Battleships tend to, on average, carry a crew between several thousand to several million, and they need every single one of those members because we don't have advanced technology for other things to pilot themselves or control themselves in a meaningful way because there's no AI. A lot of this stuff has to be done manually. Even the reloading of those giant batteries is a form of manual labor. And of course, generally speaking, gliding through the stars is a very slow way to do things. And let's be honest, there can't be a science fiction setting without some form of hyperspace travel. This form of travel in 40K is less like going to Plaid in Spaceballs and more like going into Davy Jones' zipper dimension in SpongeBob.
Oh shit.
Now what? I suppose you're gonna tell me. Oh, gee, that's very nice. Oh, what is this? Some kind of magic act?
Holy crap. Wait, this is literally the warp.
This is because it utilizes the immaterial warp to do so. Warp travel is handled by a navigator, which is an abhuman. It's a mutated human, don't worry about it. And they have a gene that gives them a third eye and the ability to help steer the ship through the warp, which, as we know, is hell itself and unreality. Now, this might sound exceptionally dangerous, and that's because it is. Now, the ship does have protection in the form of a Geller field, though. Originally, I assumed the Geller field is what you think it is, a large force field stopping all manner of horrible things, like demons from the warp tearing apart your ship. How wrong I was, though. So space travel through the warp basically involves riding on the Sea of Souls. Hell is real and you can surf on it. So you allow the current to carry you and the navigator to direct. But how can a current of souls and unreality carry you when it doesn't obey the laws of physics, time, or, again, reality? What a Geller field is not a force field, but a comatose imperial psyker dreaming of reality. It is not a bubble. It is a force of reality being projected by mutant sleeping beauty to counteract the unreality of the warp that you can then surf on.
Holy
this, of
shit.
course, is not a foolproof method of travel, and Geller fields can and do collapse fairly regularly. Being subjected to the warp itself without this Geller field is a terrifying prospect. In the best case scenario, your ship will be torn to shreds. But there are countless instances of ships being thrown out of the warp randomly.
That's horrifying, yeah. That's actually really horrifying.
You leave for a 2-day mission and you come back 90 years in the past. Maybe you feel like you're lost in the warp for a century and it's only been 45 minutes. And that is only if the waves of souls don't rip your ship apart or have demons arrive on it to do unspeakable things to the crew. The Imperial Navy is an astronomically powerful force for the Imperium because the sheer volume of ships and guns on those ships create firepower that can sunder planets. This is all juxtaposed with the sheer backwater nature of these ships. While they are manned by crews of zealots, they are also operated with such a backwater tech, it completely confuses the reader. You see the long batteries of portside cannons that the ship has, and remember that AI is heresy in this world and that all the mechanics are utilized by lobotomized slaves. So how do they load these? Well, they have gun gangs, massive gangs of hundreds of people manually loading these cannons. These are genuine gun loader gangs.
That's crazy.
That get into gang
Is it efficient?
wars and squabbles. On the ship's bridge, you may find the captain himself hardwired directly into the ship's chair permanently to control it the best they can. Giant screens of hololith data fill the room and sensors across the ship.
If it works, it works.
Information as a serf running up to you with a scroll of parchment is. You reach to a microphone to shout orders down a hallway as paper readouts tell you information of the enemy, and holy sigils and candlelit incense burners gleam your next move. While the is not a specific faction of the Imperium.
Shit, sorry.
Of this video, it is what shepherds around the entirety of its armed forces. Every Space Marine Primarch had a flagship, and every strike cruiser and battle barge has a story to tell. But if there is a single thing that the Shield of the Navy does the best, it is to help support and supply the monumental forces of the Imperium. The hammer of the Emperor himself, the uncountable men and women of the
Imperial Guards!
I don't care if these things have adapted to resist our las guns. If we can't kill them with our rifles, then we'll kill them with heavy bolters. And if we can't kill them with heavy weapons, we'll use grenades. And if grenades don't work, then we'll fight them with our swords and our knives and our bare hands. We'll drown them in our blood. That's what it means to be a soldier of the Imperial Guard.
Holy
now
shit.
Charge. There is
That's
no
such
better
a cool
symbol
quote,
of
too.
the might of the Imperium itself than the Astra
Yeah, they're very mighty.
Militarum, or as it is commonly known, the Imperial Guard. Though the Space Marines take the glory and stand as the visual representation of the Imperium, their numbers are dramatically thin and specialized in comparison. To reclaim 1,000,000 worlds, you need a countless number of troops willing to fight and die for your cause. The Imperial Guard represents the Imperial truth made manifest. Every year, the worlds of the Imperium pay a tithe in the form of soldiers to fight the good fight of the Emperor, and this number is impossible to pin down. Even saying billions would be a dramatic understatement. The sheer volume of soldiers serves as the fundamental backbone of the Imperium. 99.9% of battles fought by the Imperium are fought by the sundering might of the Imperial Guard. With the knowledge
Holy
that the Space
shit.
Marines are essentially sentient tanks, what do the members of the Imperial Guard have? If they're the might of the Emperor himself, are they not suited up in a similar way? No. Not really. No fancy suits, no biological enhancements, and basically no expectation to live. Once a regiment of guard are activated, they are sent directly into battle with almost no expectations that they will survive. This is because, despite their training,
Damn.
their incredibly powerful armor and extremely strong weapons that would crush any army of the modern day, they are so hopelessly outmatched to the things they will face. Sending a member of the guard is throwing a rock at a nuclear bomb. However, where they lack in advancement, they make up for in sheer numbers, and their overwhelming force can be the difference maker in any deployment they face. Quantity
Damn.
is a quality all its own. If they do happen to survive,
Yeah, all they have is like huge balls, dude. Massive.
Old or retire, and those that do are truly to be feared. There's an old saying that the average lifespan of a guardsman is about 15 hours from deployment, and considering the sheer number of guardsmen out there in any given battle, that number is probably accurate. When several million of your pool of guardsmen die within the first few hours of combat because the orcs threw a moon at you, it can really screw the numbers. The soldiers of the Guard are conscripted and trained on an incredible number of worlds in the Imperium, and these worlds can impact their training and their combat style directly. The most famous visually are the Cadian shock troops. But other notable Guard factions include the gas mask clad Death Corps of Krieg, the Rambo level of Catachan Jungle Fighters, and the Iron Willed Mordian Iron Guard. This also helps them specialize against individual types of enemies. The Indigan Prefects are a special guard regiment that came from a planet whose planetary governor, the leader of the planet, thought it was fun to collect exotic animals, which then crossbreed and then became the giant freight train sized monsters destroying the planet. So the Indigan Prefects are specialized for big monsters. Hello, Tyranids. One particularly interesting officer in the Guard is the enforcement officer known as the Commissar, and they are one of the more visually striking members of a regiment. These are specialized Imperial officers and act as morale officers. But instead of singing songs to the troops and providing hot meals, the Commissars are there to make sure that the members of the regiment continue to fight to the bitter end. If a soldier does not meet the standards of the Commissar, the solution is simple. There are trillions of other soldiers out there. We don't really need you. Combat fatigue? Headshot. Concerns about the conflict? Headshot. Fleeing the battlefield?
Holy shit!
You bet that's a headshot. Considering that these officers tend to be outside of their regiment, feelings on them can be mixed. And in fairness, certain commissars, like the esteemed Ibram Gaunt or Caiaphas Kane, tend to do
I feel like they're kind of doing like quality check, make sure everyone's doing their job.
Because if, say, you were trying to tell
Otherwise,
a
headshot.
beefed-up Catachan jungle fighter what to do, you might take a mysterious leave of absence inside a carnivorous plant. But no matter what I say, I don't think I can truly convey the sheer might of the Imperial Guard, so I'm gonna get a visual aid. Let's take a look at this image right here, right? This is the cover of the 9th edition Codex.
The
for
art's
the
like
Militarum,
beautiful,
the
it's like painted.
Cover art. Your eyes may be drawn to the dark and brutal looks of some of the main members on the front and the gigantic orc they are attacking, but zoom out a little bit. There is no floor. There is only people, and behind those people are tanks. And behind those tanks are flying artillery shells. There are 2 enormous transport ships in the sky, and their ramps are down, and on their ramps are more people. The Imperium is described as having 1,000,000 worlds. 1,000,000 worlds. And each one of them gives soldiers to the Imperial Guard for the tithe. On a given battlefield, in a given fight, Foot soldiers number in the millions, tanks in the tens of thousands.
Dude,
and
they're
you have
like
enough
fucking
artillery to turn
ants,
the
bro.
night sky day.
Like,
you have walkers and
damn.
APCs and aircraft and horse cavalry and tanks.
But like
the
cooler
size of
ants, like I just meant like
apartment
numbers.
buildings.
They're like
You have
ants,
truck
like
troops and spec ops and rattling snipers and gigantic ogres that can't count to 4, but they can turn you into 4 pieces, and it just doesn't end. Humanity is a horde army, but instead of a horde of bugs or
Holy
rampaging
shit.
orcs, it's a living wall of guns. At the end of the day, though he's been ferried through hell on a ship that's 10,000 years old to some godforsaken
ants with
war-torn
guns and
rock,
tanks and
though
shit.
he deployed from high orbit with nothing but a grav chute, though he is one of 10 million men and women snatched from his homeworld to fight a war he barely understands, though he has been given a weapon that fires small suns and may annihilate him as he fires because the knowledge of how it functions has been lost, though his company is supported by tractor tanks that run on anything you can burn, though he wages war against the devouring hive mind, ravenous demons and hordes of hyper-advanced aliens with strange technologies and sorceries he never dreamed existed. No one will remember his sacrifice. There will be no records of his deeds, no glorious parades in his honor, and no remembrance of his name. All he will earn is a shallow, unmarked grave on a forgotten world untold light years from home. Yet for all this thankless sacrifice, a guardsman is a
Kinda makes me
man
sad.
just like you. He has no millennia-old genetic engineering, no prophetic leader, no miracles of faith. He has his lasgun, his orders,
Oh, 7.
and those beside him. He is the Imperial Guard, and he will hold the line. In the end, the
That's
Astronaut
pretty
Arm,
noble.
despite fighting for
That's
the honor of
pretty
the
freaking
Imperium,
epic.
are their own form of a massive horde army. Where
They might not be
individuality
remembered,
does not
but
matter.
I think
They
they're
are
pretty
merely
epic.
numbers to the Imperium, and the vast majority of the conflicts they are sent to are attrition-based battles that gain virtually no ground while countless millions die. Yet this makes them the most human. For the Imperial Guard contains normal people, people who are happy and sad, people who laugh and love, and in there are stories, because there is strength in facing the horrors of the universe head on with nothing but a rifle in your hands and a prayer on your lips. Armed with an innumerable amount of Imperial soldiers and Space Marines, the Navy begins its great crusade into the stars to rescue the stranded Primarchs and reunite them to their legions. But the biggest question needed to be asked was, what would they find? The age of strife lasted for thousands of years. If a civilization was still alive out there in the galaxy, what would they be like? The technological advancements of humanity prior to and during the Dark Age technology was unfathomable. It allowed them to spread through the galaxy with ease and allowed them to settle once inhospitable planets. These branches of humanity were provided with the vast knowledge of human creations and were given gigantic machines to make arduous labor and ease. The spreading of these massive colony ships was known as the Long March, and these ships would be retrofitted into settlements upon arrival to their new homes. Accompanying them were the gigantic pieces of farm equipment that served multiple purposes and the specialized pilots that could maintain them. They were not only able to tend the fields and do labor, but when interstellar communication was cut off, they also did a great job of protecting the colonists against both threats demonic and alien. Because of the significance of these machines, those that could pilot them were powerful enough to be considered leaders, and the upkeep and preservation of the machines and the lineage of those who could pilot them was imperative. These machines, over the thousands of years, would eventually be known as the
Imperial Knights!
He must be humble of heart, strong of arm, be savage in war, loyal to hearth, and follow deeds of glory. He must keep honor with all, banish cowardice from his doings, and bring his house no shame. He must serve the emperor and defend the Imperium, thus should a knight rule himself. The Age of Strife caused these colonized worlds to be cut off from the Imperium, and the reversion of these worlds resulted in the reverence for this farm equipment turned feudal, and the leadership that controlled the devices became viewed as a noble hierarchy. During the Age of Strife, exploratory fleets from Mars found plenty of these worlds, and it seemed the majority of them reverted to a similar state. Like King Arthur seeing Merlin himself, these feudal worlds welcomed the tech priests of Mars with open arms. The mutual relationship between the Admech and the nobility was beneficial. The Admech were able to secure more worlds for mining resources and potentially long-lost STC information, and the noble houses were provided with technological know-how and modifications from the Admech themselves. The suits became more and more specialized, and their history as mere pieces of equipment were lost to time. What was once a tractor became a killdozer, and
That
the
fucking
Imperial Knights
image,
were
dude.
born. Unlike other military aspects in the Imperium, the nobility of the Knight Houses remains just that, a nobility-focused feudal hierarchy that swears fealty to either the Mechanicum or to Terra. Like the knights in our history, once they swear fealty, they can be called to aid their respective allegiance in the heat of battle. The ones that swear fealty to Terra are led by the High Monarch, while the ones with the Mechanicum are led by the Princeps. The ones with Terra might be sent directly to the front line of war, while the ones with the Mechanicum tend to be sent to protect the Forge world. And the heraldry of these houses is what you'd expect from a generic history of knights. Houses pledging allegiances here and there, your run-of-the-mill War of the Roses aesthetic. Except instead of ponies, you have gigantic death machines. These knights can't seem to be piloted by any old person, however. A member of the nobility of any given knight house
That's actually
must
really
go
fucking
through the
sick.
ritual of becoming. This ritual involves them sitting on the device used to control the knight, known as the Throne Mechanicum, for a full night. What's wrong with that? I mean, sitting in a chair for a full evening sounds pretty great right about now. So, a pilot cannot drive a
That's
knight.
all I do.
They can, but it moves about as effective as Ripley from Aliens 2, big, lifter thing. It is, in a sense, a beast that must be controlled, and a pilot must merge with it. The mind of the noble is connected to the machine and must fight with the mental signatures and personalities of the prior pilots as well. Everything a knight experiences in battle is felt by the pilot themselves, be it the general movement in the battlefield or damage sustained by the machine itself. If a knight's leg is blown off in battle, the pilot could experience a broken bone in the same spot. The merging to the machine forever changes the mentality of the noble that experiences it. This connection reinforces a strong degree of nobility and honor in the pilot, and a desire to fight for the glory of their house until the bitter end, as their ancestors' minds are linked directly to the knight. The size of these knights can vary, but generally speaking, they stand in the ballpark of 30 to 50 feet tall and are protected by a
one thing I really like is like I love how like all these like
their own unique ion shield.
I don't know, all these like human legions are just so ready to die, for their homes.
Pattern across the Imperium is the Questoris pattern, and is honestly
I think
the
it's
one
very
you're probably
admirable.
thinking about right now. But there are also smaller versions like armigers and bigger ones known as
Yeah,
the
there's a lot of
Dogs.
courage
As
and
for
honor with
loadout,
this.
These guys are essentially violent Mr. Potato Head. Battle cannons, Gatling cannons, heavy flamers, thermal cannons. Up close and personal, how about a gigantic chainsword or a straight up gauntlet? And for that empty spot up top, screw it. More autocannons, maybe add some missiles. Whatever you can do to make it as over the top as possible, you gotta do it. A squire serves a knight serves a lord serves a baron serves a monarch. So who does the monarch serve? He serves every subject, from the rudest serf to the members of the court. Chivalric fealty, when ideally practiced, is not a pyramid, but a circle. Ironically, on the surface, night worlds themselves are one of the least grim-dark settings in the galaxy. Reverting to an ancient time with knights and peasants is almost an escapism from the techno-hell of the modern Imperium.
it's
But
nice.
this, of course, doesn't make it great for everyone. It sounds fun on paper to play a game of knights, but it's not so fun when you're the peasant of that world. For the knights themselves, the knights give their entire lives to the Throne Mechanicum, and their reality is not their own, as they have to hear the
I forgot
voices
about
of
the
thousands of
the
generations
boost
of their
morale
ancestors
people.
controlling their actions and their lives for as long as they live. It's a strange dichotomy. When it comes to Warhammer, most two-all jobs tend to be terrible.
That's very true.
However, if there was one that could be considered enjoyable, it would be the pilot of a knight, or a princeps of their larger cousins. While it does contain an egregious amount of hardship to be a knight pilot, you do enjoy a wealth of privilege. A knight pilot is often an asshole who can back it up. The rich noble that, despite his braggadocious behavior, is still very much him, and he will continue to be him. But knights are not the only thing that the Imperium found lost in the stars during their Great Crusade. Due to the circumstances of the Age of Strife, humans were changing and adapting to their new homes they were now isolated on. Some of these humans evolved over thousands of years to adapt to these areas, and they were known as abhumans. Many abhumans found their way into the Imperial Guard or other lesser positions in the Imperium if they were not wiped out immediately for being too different from their human counterparts. But their abilities and appearance vary from planet to planet, and one particular group of abhumans have made quite a name for themselves in the center of the galaxy.
The leaks.
The origins
can't
of what
read
will be
that.
known as the kin start at some point during the Dark Age
Oh, the
technology,
Votan,
where their ancestors
aka
left a
Dwarf
planet that
Marines.
is very much Terra and
Is
went to
that-
the
is
galactic
that actually the
core to
official
mine it
thing?
of its resources. They brought along with them everything that they would need for a long-term
Epic
stay,
music.
most important
It's
of
fitting.
which were the incredible AI-based supercomputers. Be it guidance, technical or philosophical, schematics, or the ability to upload the memories of a deceased
I
explorer
see.
to gather information from them, these computers became an essential part of their everyday life.
Emory's
Especially
building
considering that
this
the
one.
galactic
Oh, that's good to
core
know.
is one of the most inhospitable places in the galaxy. It is an exceptionally star-dense location, full of abnormalities, black holes, and sentient hostile nebula. Whatever that last part means. It is not a safe and easy place to make a living, and this only got worse thanks to the warp storms during the Age of Strife. In order to adapt to this area, these travelers perfected a genetic makeup that made their future clones to be more adept to the area. These future clones would be shorter and more robust than their ancestors, and the need to procreate would be unnecessary because why risk messing up a good employee when you can just make a new one? These would be known as the squats, and they would all die, except for when they didn't. And now they are known by a different name. Most void-faring races have at least one cautionary tale of foolish explorers vanishing amidst its blazing stellar nurseries and strange anomalies. Yet for the leagues of Votan, the galactic core has been home now for millennia. These squat humanoids would begin to establish themselves in the core, and their goals would be the same as their ancestors. Rock and stone! But like, actually kinda, yeah. Whenever one of them would die, they would know that that sucker would need to be uploaded to the machines like their forefathers did. But the original purpose of these machines was lost to time. What was once a technical resource for them turned into a ritual known as joining the ancestors. And the fact that they were clones at this point meant that the same copy of the same individual would be uploaded countlessly. The sheer overuse of these computers and the repeated uploading of redundant data has turned these once powerful supercomputers into your parents' computer after you installed LimeWire on it, and whose 50 Google Chrome tabs definitely contain information they will return to one day. So much corruption that these computers began to develop the makings of a personality of their
Even though it
own.
makes my
These
computer
would be
slower.
known as the Votan, and the kin, this dwarf-like abhuman of humanity, would revere them. The Votan still operate to this day, but the volume of corruption have made anything outside of their very basic functions highly unpredictable. They may not answer a question for centuries at a time, and if they do provide an answer or data, it has become so corrupted and so incongruent that it takes a literal kin wizard to comprehend it. The kin, much like the dwarves of fantasy, exist nowadays as a mercantile species that constantly work to mine and manufacture. However, their capitalistic desires are dangerous. The biggest crimes a kin can face are being lazy, unproductive, and breaking a contract. Stellar conflicts have broken out over hundreds of years due to the breaking of a deal. So if you signed a contract with a kin, you best stick to it. Because of this, the kin have been known to interact with other species in a fairly common manner. This includes humanity, who have met various members of the kin multiple times, but constantly considered them to be all a different species. Famously, the Imperium noted that the kin they referred to as the Squats were their own species and were wiped out by the Tyranids. Little did they know, they were still around. The kin are acutely aware of two things. The first is that the humans of the Imperium are deeply terrified of technology, so the sheer existence of the Votan is a secret as well as the truth. This extends also to the Iron Kin, sentient robots that are treated in the same esteem of flesh and blood kin, because kin is kin. The second thing they are aware of is where they're from. They are fairly confident that they are from Terra, and they know that if this secret was to be known by the Imperium, that the Imperium might want to take ownership of them and everything they've built. So the more alien they are, the better. Now, this sounds fine and good, right? What could possibly be wrong with these guys besides the hyper late stage space capitalism? Well, we have to go back to their creation. The kin are an entirely clone-based race made from the computers that are exceptionally difficult to recreate. These machines, the Votan, are becoming more and more unpredictable and derelict. If anything were to happen to these machines, it would be a twofold ending of the kin.
The computer should be on fire and exploding.
Numbers, and the existing kin would have no further purpose because the end that awaits them would be non-existent. existent. The horror of the kin civilization is that the entire purpose of their lives is to do the best they can at their duty and upload all they know to the Voton, their ancestor cores, join their ancestors. But doing so is actually the thing that is killing these supercomputers in the first place. The ancestors were dead, but through the first truths, their legacy continued. And though their eyes had shut long ago, indeed the ancestors were watching, not with a gaze from eons gone, but with the eyes of every living kin. Each generation was the embodiment of the ancestors cast anew by the Voton. The galaxy changed. Stars died, planets were destroyed, and civilizations fell. But as long as the Voton endured, the ancestors still lived. I do want to end this last bit with an enjoyable quote from one Kim. As you may have assumed, the Leagues of Voton are space dwarves with a corporate sci-fi motif, but they are still very much dwarves. They're squat, they're strong as hell, and they hold serious grudges. This time it's just more about your contracts than anything else. And so because of this, they might treat most things about how you would expect a capitalistic dwarf would treat things. You misunderstand, human. I am not here to debate. I am not here to compromise. What you see as yours, I am taking for my kindred. You want to bargain? Torek, unholster our means of negotiation. As the Great Crusade continued, humanity would find their missing Primarchs, reestablish the locations of all of their various worlds,
Fire,
and finally
dude. Fire.
reclaim what the Emperor was always hoping for. But eventually, all the Emperor sought to build would be his undoing. His original attempt to have all of the Primarchs lead his great armies and usher humanity into the better ages would end up crumbling down. And we will learn about how the Imperium backslides and the horror of the modern day of 40K in part 2. I will see you very soon.
Did we finish?
Thank you so much for watching.
Shoot. What the hell? Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't realize we were getting to the end there. Okay. Wow, that was fun to watch. Holy. I actually really like I really like this new video, the I guess like re-explain of part 1. I like that he did it in a timeline, so we have kind of like an order, because I feel like the last videos are kind of like, oh, you know, here's all the factions, this is what they do, but now we have like kind of a timeline, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, is part 2 released yet? Cliffhanger. Yeah, he left us on a cliffhanger, but that was really, really fun to watch. I am glad I did watch the other parts though. I feel like it was easier for me to comprehend. I feel like if I like jumped in on this video first, I'd probably be more confused, because like I think like 2 hours straight of Warhammer as a first timer might be a bit overwhelming, but this is like really easy to digest, and it was really fun to watch. He said he's gonna release at the end of May. Oh, okay, it's coming out. Okay, I guess we'll watch it probably maybe like a week or 2 after it comes out. But yeah, thank you guys for watching that with me, and I hope you guys had fun. Yeah, that felt pretty short. The original one is for newcomers, and this is for people that play Space Marine. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. There'll be a part 2, so he didn't say the Elder, the Orcs, Chaos, and more. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more to still cover, which is really, really fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys had fun. Thank you so much for watching Warhammer with me, and I'll see you guys next time for more. Alright, take care! Okay, sorry, we're not gone yet. That was just sort of a YouTube little outro. But yeah, that was fun. Thank you, chat, so much for watching that with me. I think next week, or maybe later this week. Let me think. Maybe on Sunday. So probably maybe later this week, maybe we'll watch more. No promises though, I have to see. My schedule is a little bit hectic right now. But yeah, the next thing we're planning to watch, chat, is I think we're probably gonna watch 2 videos next time. So I wanted to watch Bricky's What is Warhammer 40K timeline, to get, you know, the timeline. And I also wanted to watch Transcend the infinite timeline too. So yeah, I was hoping I'm super excited to watch the Transcend the infinite timeline, because like I watched like a little bit of it, like a few seconds, just to see like what it was kind of like the vibes were, and like it felt like a cool, super cool like narrator narrating like a movie. So I really wanted to watch that. But yeah, thanks for the stream. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. There's Island on the Peak. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that. Probably watch it either the next coming week or later this week. We will see. Good night, Miss Beautiful Lady. Best of luck. Whoa, no kissing, chat, no kissing. I'm scared. Thanks, Lochino. Thank you guys so much for coming here and watching this video with me, and also for explaining a lot to me. A lot of people chimed in with comments and stuff, so it was fun. Thank you, chat. Thank you for watching. All right, chat. I guess we're gonna go ahead and head out for now. So I'm gonna be over on Mimi's channel in about 2 hours, I believe, around 6 p.m. PST. For now, I think her waiting room is up, so I'm gonna raid into her because she is doing her birthday celebration. So her stream's not up yet, but if you guys want to wait in the waiting room, that'll be up. I need to find the freaking link for her VOD though. I'm lost. Wait, I don't see a chat. How do I find it? Have a good rest. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping in the next in the next mechanics game we see some of Trezan. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully next time, or definitely the third time. He's on the list though. I have a list that management gave me to watch, so I can get like the best understanding of everything about being lost. So yeah, we have that going. Sorry, I'm looking for Mimi's channel. I'm trying to find it. I'm gonna see. Where is... Okay, there you go. I found it. Okay. Alright, thank you, chat, for coming today. Thank you. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing a members-only stream. If anyone wants to come by, it's going to be a private stream where I work on super secret projects. And after that, I'll be live on Twitch with some more Dark Souls. But I might play like the demo of Doom. I think that was coming out today, actually. We'll see what happens, chat. My schedule is always a suggestion. I never stick to it. Alright, bye everyone. Have fun. Have a good rest of your night. And good night. Take care. Bye. Wah.